I have to scramble to do all my saving. It's not saving.
Amen.
The other thing, the sharing.
Yeah. Yes.
Not the saving.
Oh.
We'll save it too.
Hey man.
We'll save it too, but we're gonna share it first.
Okay.
Jeez. God, freaking losing it. Oh goodness. Oh, it's such a beautiful day. Okay. Now, let's see what we have here. I was doing the sharing of the show announcement yesterday,
Okay.
and Facebook stopped me
They stopped
in
you.
the midst, saying you are abusing the sharing. You've shared to too many places in too short of a time.
That's unusual.
That was interesting. That literally had never happened to me.
No, it isn't. I've never seen it before. I have never heard
I had
that.
to take about a 4-hour respite and then come back
Oh,
and start again to finish. Fortunately, I knew where I left off, which was nice. And I had to do the remainder of the places. It's weird. Yeah, that was a weird one. That was a weird one.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That one was a bit odd. That, yeah. And because as much as I might like to think of my program as meaningful and influential and whatnot, I'm sitting there thinking, Mark Zuckerberg is not scared that I'm sharing this program.
I'm telling you, he's not.
He's not losing sleep over it.
No, he doesn't care.
Zuckerberg
doesn't care.
Right. He's not losing sleep over my program. So why am I being stopped here?
Because it's the Zuck. And that's usually how the Zuck works. Make sure I did this here. Hold on.
He sucks. Anyone? Oh, come on.
He does.
I'll be here all week. Try to tip your server.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that works.
Yeah. Please remember, you can use the chat on the Zoom.
Oh, I absolutely.
Facebook does not see that. That does not get to Facebook. That is something for us if you need to let me know something you want me to ask specifically.
Absolutely.
Okay. Ready for this big announcement here, young man?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm actually trying to make sure that I have something to show, because our good friend Gilbert Floyd has made us an actual banner. He made us an actual banner. So I'm literally trying to find it. I don't know where the heck oh, there it is. Photos. Duh. Okay. Come on, load. And I'm literally getting it where people can go, oh, that's the name of the show, rather than, having a guess. Yeah. Definitely not.
Okay, we're getting there. Almost there. Okay, here we go. Groups. What are we at? 457. It's almost like we know what we're doing. But don't tell anybody.
All right.
Then they expect you to do it.
Something. is it? Right. That's what I want to do. Doggone it.
Stop, damn you. Oh. This way, just because my screen is going. Five o'clock, so just a few more seconds.
Okay.
93 shares. Which is actually a tiny bit low.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hey, turn that down a little. Nobody needs to hear that reverb, do they?
No, they don't.
They do not. I agree with you, sir. Wholeheartedly. Nobody wants to hear that. As soon as we get to 5:01. Welcome to the whopping 5 folks in the going might be a light week because the weather is stunning around here today. It is summer, and then tomorrow it goes back to spring. Late, or I should say early spring. It's been in the 90s the last few days. I think Tuesday it's going to be in the 60s. All right, here we go. 3, 2, and welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the fully fascist township, Bethlehem Landfill Township. After Waste Management purchased our township council, we're now sponsored, kind of like a kind of like a sports stadium in Bethlehem Landfill Township, formerly known as Lower Saucon Township, here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, part of these United States, on this planet Earth, the only one we have. Third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Kennedy Effect for Sunday, May 22, 2022. Yes, I absolutely watched me brain freeze right in the middle of trying to remember today's date, even after typing it repeatedly over and over and over again. We thank you so much for being here. If you just found us over the last few weeks with our special Wednesday episodes, well, where the hell have you been? You've been missing us this whole time. How dare you? I demand reparations immediately for you missing us for 3+ years. But we thank you for being here, each and every single one of you. If you are new to the program, if you are a regular listener and watcher, viewer, I'll go with viewer. Sounds a little more intelligent, doesn't it? We thank you so very, very, very much for being here. This is our normal time slot. If you have just found us on either of our Wednesday programs, this is when we are normally here, Sundays from 5 p.m. Eastern time. To all of you who are listening, watching across the Facebook universe, the nearly 100 places, I think I was at 93 at last count, places that we have shared the program, thank you. If you are an administrator in any of the groups that we share to, thank you. If you are simply an individual in those groups who listens and or watches in that group, thank you. We do not want to be the proverbial tree in the forest. We could not be here without you. We thank each and every one of you. We thank each and every group and each and every national, regional Facebook page that allows us to be part of their little corner of the Facebook universe. Thank you all. We are grateful and we appreciate it for our humble little program here, just trying to educate and bring a little bit of light inside the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, across the country and around the world. If you want to contribute to today's program with your comments, your questions, you want to agree with me, disagree with me, yell, argue, stand up and cheer, whatever it might be, we need you to come to our home group Facebook page, that other side of information. Several of you have been very kind enough to comment and try to engage with us through the different places across Facebook that we share the program, but I don't see those unless I am alerted to it well after the program is over. If you want to engage with us in real time, again, we're very grateful to every single group that allows us, but if we want to see it, or if you want us to see you, is what I should have said, we need you to come to our home group Facebook page, that other side of information. That's where you will find the program and find the chat going on. To our sisters and brothers, friends and family at hot101.net, our name is our web address, and it's how you can find us on the web, hot101.net. You can also go to the Apple App Store if you have an Apple device and find the app for Hot 101. The Google Play Store for Android devices. And if you have any other type of device that supports the TuneIn radio app, just go up to the search bar, type in hot101.net, and you can find us there. And of course, we play America's new favorite game show where you can tell Alexa, hey, Alexa, play hot101.net. As monumentally immature as I can be, one of these days somebody's going to message me during the program and say that I triggered their Alexa, and I'm going to be very, very pleased with myself. Way more pleased than I really should be, than a grown man should be for doing something so infantile, but I will be thrilled. So one of these days I'm going to trigger somebody's Alexa. And of course, TCP, the Cultured Professional, a proud, growing, thriving, ever increasing in importance, minority-owned business right here in our own Commonwealth and Lancaster area. TCP, the Culture Professional, they also have a global internet outlet called WTCP, and you can find them all over Facebook and, of course, the Roku channel for TCP as well. If you missed any of our special programs the last couple of Wednesdays, one following the leak of the impending Supreme Court decision, and this past Wednesday, recapping the Pennsylvania primary. You can find them on YouTube. If you ever miss any of our programs, you can always find them on YouTube, youtube.com/that other side of information. Instagram, that other side of information. I'm looking at my cheat sheet. Twitter at that Kennedy Talk. Patreon, that other side of information. And the platform that our guest has mastered so brilliantly, the one that I forgot yet again to do a promotional video for, because aren't I just the smartest that I don't know how to regularly promote my own program? I'm so smart. And that would be TikTok, that other side of information as well. We will open up the phone line later in the program. There's actually a chance that this program could be a bit shorter than normal. We're kind of having a little more of a relaxed kind of program this week. We don't have, I almost said we don't have guests. You can see on the screen, we obviously have a guest. No candidates, no sitting office holders, none of that. We're just going to have a chat with our dear friend. And when I say dear friend, I mean it. It's interesting in these modern times how we can forge meaningful, solid, friendships with actual real bases and roots over an electronic medium. But that's what I feel fortunate enough to have done with the gentleman who's joining us yet again. I think he might be leading now. I think you might be leading the pack now, sir, in appearances on the program. I think you're at 5.
This is 5. This makes number
5.
This
so
makes number 5.
You're winning. You're leading. You're ahead. You're in front. In front by a nose. And we welcome back to the program my friend and friend to the program, and I don't say that lightly. I say it with a great deal of humility and honor that he's been willing to take this old fool in as a friend and be a friend to this program. And that is Sergeant Thomas Mack. Sarge, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, my dear friend Jeff. Yeah, this makes number 5, man. I didn't even think about it until you just said it. I was like, I've been on this show 5 times. Yeah. This is it's kind of exciting. I'm leading the pack right now. I am the Ric Flair of the Kennedy Effect show. I have been champion 5 times. So there's that. But I'm glad to be here.
Well, you definitely have flair. We know that.
We're still working that part. We're still working that out.
Well, let me ask you,
mm-hmm.
how this is fun. Sometimes I think it's fun when we do a little bit of production, shall we say, live on the air.
Okay.
Would you like to get straight to your announcement, or would you like to talk about some of the bigger events from the last couple of weeks first and hold a little suspense?
Let's build it up. Let's talk about a few things. You hit me with a subject. I'll give you my opinion, and then we will.
Oh, well, can I? Before I forget, can I say we have not set a date yet? But Sergeant Mack was kind enough to offer me the ability to go on his TikTok account.
Yes,
I guess is the best way to put it.
Yes,
and he's got more people on that TikTok account than most of the islands in the Caribbean or the South Pacific. Let's just be blunt. I mean, he's got. I think he's the 3rd largest nation on Earth. I think. I'm not sure. I don't know if the GDP is there, but I've got a bloody lot of people on that account. Let's just be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a few.
So
I have a few.
There's a a few 100,000.
Yes.
So that, and he was going to turn the tables on me. So we will get to that. Look out for that. We'll discuss that later in the program as well. We also have a very.
I want to bring you on and be able to have you, for one time, actually sit in the hot seat. Give a little bit of your background. Tell people that don't know you about you.
I'm old and broken and have back problems. So sitting in a warm seat would probably do me a lot of good. I'm happy to, hey, if that's, I'm good with that. I'm good.
Yeah,
just don't. I also have absolutely no skin color whatsoever, so I burn. I burn easily.
I was going to tell you that you're kind of pale.
I burn easily, so make sure the seat's not too hot. We are going to have. So that's kind of an announcement. It's not the announcement that I had hyped in the show announcement. We will get to that a little bit later in the program. Sarge cannot be with us for the entirety of the program, but for at least while is here, trust me, we will not forget. Big announcement for you. You're going to want to hear it.
Okay.
I will hit you with a topic right out of the gate. Because we are not at the platform yet where you're going to turn the tables on me. I'm still somewhat in the driver's seat, as they were. You know, I feel like Mr. Magoo driving the car, but I'm still sort of driving the car. But let me hit you. I'm not going to take it easy on you as we start.
I already know.
Let me jump straight into it.
Okay.
Sarge, talk to me about the Great Replacement theory.
I made a TikTok video about this.
No, when did you start TikTok?
Oh my God. It's a hobby. But let's talk a little bit about the Great Replacement theory. And let's just, instead of looking at it like the legitimate issue that Tucker Carlson and people like him have made it, let's just cut this down to what it truly means. There is a segment of the population of the United States who have been completely okay with how racial ideas have shaken out in America. You know, they didn't have to do anything to inherit the greatest country on earth. They just simply had to be born. So they have benefited from this. They have been able to have their heroes. And their heroes have always been spotless. Their heroes have always been strong. Their heroes were leaders and strong men and strong women. And they never had to think about things like slavery or genocide or our immigration policies. None of those things ever mattered to them because they never had to think about it. And then a book called The Birth Dearth came out. And I believe the gentleman's name is Ben, I cannot pronounce his last name for anything, where he basically talked about maintaining this Caucasian majority in America. And he talked about the 3 different ways it did it. Now, Jane Elliott is one of the...
Let me just slip in real quick.
Go ahead.
Planet-wide,
mm-hmm.
global population,
mm-hmm.
folks who look like me,
mm-hmm.
make up a whopping 14% of the global population.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm just
that
adding some context into what you're
mm-hmm.
describing. So when we talk about maintaining a majority, there's never been one.
There never has been.
Right.
There has.
That's all I just wanted to
So
sprinkle a little.
And Jane Elliott talks about this, and she says that in The Birth Dearth, this particular gentleman came up with 3 different ways how they can maintain a white majority. Number 1, pay white women to have babies. And they realized, we would also have to pay Black, brown, and indigenous women to have babies as well, because it would be discriminatory not to do it. Number 2, import more white Caucasian babies into America. He also realized that there was a problem with that as well, which is you would end up importing more of different kinds of babies that were undesirable, not just white. The third way was to stop abortion, because 60% of abortions that are done in America are done by white women. And this gentleman said, if we can stop that 60%, we would maintain our majority. You also had the French, and I forgot, it was a philosopher that came up with the replacement theory as well. You combine these mindsets, and you have what is called the Great Replacement theory in America. It is fueled by things like the study that came out 2010-12 that said that by the year 2045 or between 2045 and 2050, the majority of America will be Black or brown. You couple that with...
I quite frankly think it's going to be sooner than that. But
it absolutely will.
I think it's going to be, quite honestly, I'm not so sure it isn't that already, but I know the study that you're talking about. It 2040 seems to be the marker that we've laid, but I suspect it'll be quicker. I suspect it'll be quicker than that, to be honest.
You couple that with the election of Barack Obama, which completely threw white supremacists and racists off their tail, because nobody had it. The thing about Obama, and I'm being honest about it, he was a centrist Democrat. He was
campaigned like FDR, governed like Clinton.
Exactly. So there was nothing magical about his candidacy, there was something magical about his candidacy, but there was nothing magical about his presidency. He governed like a centrist Democrat, which was what you would expect. But nobody thought he would win. Tupac even made a song, "America might not be ready for a black president." And here we are in 2008, we end up electing a black president. And that gave I don't know, fuel to this idea of the great replacement theory.
There was actually a shortage on weapons and ammunition shortly after the election in 2008 and leading up past Inauguration Day and into the beginnings of
the militia movement gained people. They gained followers or members almost every year that Obama was president. So all of this comes down to this idea: fear. The fear is, and in a segment of American population's mind, that once the minority groups of America, black, brown, or indigenous, become the majority in America, they expect retribution. What they expect to have happen is all of their heroes, all of the people they admired throughout history, they know that they did not become these powerful, great people without bloodshed, without exploitation, without pain, without suffering, without mass murders and things of that nature. They are afraid that once they become the minority, retribution will follow. And this is exactly how I explained it. They believe that their ancestors and their bloodline threw a boomerang hundreds of years ago. And they're afraid that the velocity on that boomerang, which has been building, is 10 times greater than it was when it was thrown. And when it comes back, it will cut off their head. The entirety of the idea, especially when you hear Tucker Carlson talk about it, and especially when you see the actions that happened in Buffalo, this is the mentality of people who seem to believe that there will be retribution for the actions of the past. That's why when you hear people talk about racism was so long ago, one of the biggest arguments I always say is, why do they always jump to slavery? It's almost like every single person who does not want to talk about race gets into a time machine, like the DeLorean. It goes up to 88 miles an hour and they go all the way to 1619. They never want to talk about anything 1865 and on, because they realize, well, slavery, they can say slavery so long ago because they also do not know whether or not they had relatives involved in the slave trade, in the triangle trade. They don't know if they have relatives involved in the Trail of Tears and things of that nature. But you've got pictures of grandma and pictures of grandpa at lynchings. Your granddad used to tell you those dirty stories about how they beat up and bullied and harassed Black kids.
So when you discuss the people that you're discussing, when you say they always go back to slavery, are you talking about just to clear up and even make sure that my small brain has it right?
Okay.
Are you talking about the sort of, well, we ended slavery, so everything's okay?
Exactly.
Is it that kind of thing that you're referring to?
Yes.
Or even worse, and I'm saying this to you, I'm looking right at you saying this,
I got you.
but I have Black friends.
Exactly.
Is it that kind of defense that you're discussing?
It is exactly that type. That is exactly that type of defense. If you listen to,
we can't be those kind of people. I have Black friends.
I voted for Obama twice, so that's
so it's right. Slavery. So everything's okay now. Right.
And that's exactly because the ugliness of American history comes down to a group of, and the funniest thing about it is, racism is not something that was brought from Black, brown, and indigenous people. It was something that was done to Black, brown, and indigenous people. So for these people to fear retribution, the only reason they do is because they lie to themselves. They're more than happy to say, well, I was never a slave owner and you were never a slave. They're perfectly okay saying, well, we had separate bathrooms, but now we don't. We had separate waterfront. They're okay with saying this because they understand the heinousness of what actually happened.
I heard somebody in the wake of Buffalo say this. I'm going to butcher it. I'm completely paraphrasing it.
Okay.
Or was it Eddie Glaude? It might have been Professor Eddie Glaude from Princeton. Mm-hmm. And he was talking again in the wake of Buffalo, and just a shout out there to the ether. Anybody knows Professor Glaude, I would have him here in 2 seconds. I don't think he's ever coming on this program, but I'm just saying, I have him here in a heartbeat.
You never know.
I have him here in a heartbeat.
Good.
What yes. I could listen to that man talk for weeks on it.
Yes.
But he said something very, very I don't have another word than simple, Mac, but I think you'll understand what I mean. He said something that is very, very simple, and he almost said it in passing in the answer to a question that Joe Scarborough had put to him. And that was, and I think it fits into what you're saying, and you correct me if you think I don't fit in or I'm not putting the pieces together right, but that he just mentioned, we didn't come here by choice.
No. Yeah.
We didn't run onto the ships because we wanted to see Niagara Falls or the forests or the Great Plains or the coasts of Florida.
Exactly.
We didn't come here. This isn't our fault when we didn't come here by choice. If nature and history had taken its course, I have no doubt that thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds perhaps of thousands of indigenous African peoples would have said, I think I can make a better life in that country.
Yes.
And have come of their own volition. The same way Germans and Italians and Russians and Ukrainians and Irish and everything else, everyone else did, Chinese and Japanese, the same way everyone else did.
Yep.
But you didn't.
No.
And somehow, and correct me if I'm not tying this together to what you're saying. Okay. We're in fear of the backlash or the anger for something we did to you. You didn't come here by choice. You just didn't.
Exactly.
Eventually, maybe, but history didn't take that path.
You also have to remember, we're also talking about
history was forced upon you.
Exactly. You're also talking about a American society that the moment America decided that the indigenous people could not stay where they were, all bets were off. Because you're asking people today to, now mind you, we all have to obey the laws of the United States. We all have to obey, even rules that we don't like, we have to obey them. Everybody understands what the Constitution stands for and everything else. But there are people who want that document to be honored as sacred, even though the men who wrote it owned people as well. So you had the hypocrisy already starting by the writing of that document. The very first thing you can think of is all men are created equal. Excuse me, I have slaves. And it's always been that hypocrisy that Americans have carried. It might not have been a white person today whose family owned my family back in the day, but it has been that white family who has benefited simply from the writing of that hypocrisy. You can say that John Adams and George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Hamilton, these are your heroes. These are your heroes. But you also cannot tell me that when you look at the actions of these men, that I have to see them as heroes as well. The problem is they are afraid that once they become the minority, that's exactly what is going to happen. They're looking at a complete paradigm shift. Oh, we've had these Confederate statues sitting here since I was a boy. Not anymore, you won't. And it won't be something that, oh my gosh, the black and brown people are the majority. We're not going to all of a sudden just go run and tear those statues down. But the debate is going to be a lot more forceful than it was when it was just simply white guys putting up the statues. They're afraid, some of them are afraid of physical retribution. Some of them are afraid of financial retribution. Some of them are afraid of the sort of retribution that moves you out of this nice neighborhood and out of this little small enclave into the hood that you've been talking about so bad. So when you look at something like the Great Replacement Theory, when Tucker Carlson talks about this, when he talks about how,
and he has talked about it on his program over 400 times, not 40, not 4, over 400 different times. And by the way, if he was so damn convinced of it or felt so damn passionate about it, gosh, he hasn't mentioned it since Tuesday.
No, because when Tucker Carlson talks about immigration making
since last Sunday.
Since last
he hasn't mentioned it since the event in Buffalo. Yeah. And if he was so damn convinced of it, it seems to me he'd still be talking about it.
Because he knows. It's when he talks about immigration, he talks about how immigrants make us dirtier and less desirable. He knows what he's doing. He knows it. When they talk about how, well, it's if you hold on to these beliefs, people consider you to be racist. No, if you believe these things that you say, you sound racist. What else are we supposed to call it? What is it that they say? The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. If it sounds racist to me, if it sounds racist to a white person, if it sounds racist to a gay man, it's racist.
If it walks like a duck.
Exactly. So that when Tucker talks about these things, he's talking about the Great Replacement Theory as they're coming to get you. If the immigrants are let in, they're coming to take your stuff. If you allow the blacks and the Black Lives Matter movement to have their way, they're coming to take your stuff. He knows what he's doing. The Buffalo shooter, much like Dylan Roof when he shot the 9 people in the Charleston church, they said the same, literally almost note for note. Dylan Roof says, well, black people are taking over, you got to go. This guy is, here's your reparations. He's got racial epithets painted all over the weapon. And, he sees a white person, almost shoots him, and then says, sorry. This is all about that fear. And almost everything that this same segment of society does can be traced back to that fear. The reason the NRA doesn't say anything when Philando Castile gets killed or when Amir Locke gets killed, but somebody shoots up Sandy Hook, here they come. Because they want people to believe that the Second Amendment is strictly for white folks. Now, the NRA can't come out and say that, and they have mouthpieces.
As a side note, though, they've also been very quiet about Buffalo because there was a former police officer in the top supermarket. And, oh, by the way, a gentleman of color.
Yes.
And he
fired police officer.
And he fired back and missed.
Because
over and over and over again. So you did have a good guy with a gun there.
Yes.
And it accomplished nothing.
No.
And the poor gentleman died. And arguably trying to do the right thing. I'm speaking more about that consistent NRA narrative of if only someone was there, a good guy had a gun to fight back. We did. There was one, and he's dead.
Yeah. The NRA also knows that if you pander to black gun owners, you're going to scare the white ones. So they're not going to do that. They're going to run from that like the plague. So it's easier to talk about when in terms of Sandy Hook, the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Here's a good guy with a gun. He's dead. The bad guy with the gun actually got him. But all of this, all the laws they're trying to pass, all the rhetoric that the other side is using, it comes back down to that idea of fear. Now, mind you, these groups that they're afraid of have never, in the history of ever, given any indication that they want anything other than to just be left the F alone. Just leave us alone. Can I please go to work? I'd like to have the cops not bother me while I'm on my way to work. I just want to raise my kids. I would like my kids to know about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Harriet Tubman, just like your kids know about Alexander Hamilton and Alexander Graham Bell. I want my kids to know these things. I would like for my kids to be able to play sports, even though I have a transgender son. We have never had any indication that Black, brown, or indigenous people are out for blood. We're not, because we don't care. We just want to live our lives. But you cannot convince people who the rich and powerful of this country have convinced these poor, working class, backbroken, underemployed white people that they're just like them. But these rich folks, they don't talk. People like Tucker Carlson talk great replacement theory, but you won't hear Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos say anything like that because they have billions of dollars. They don't care. You can't replace them, is what they're thinking. But they've convinced these poor, broken, underpaid, bad health having white people that the brown folks are going to take your stuff and we want your head for slavery. Nobody wants that, but it's too late now because the ink is now in the water. The water is no good. It's going to continue this way. The El Paso shooter believed in the great replacement theory. Dylan Roof probably believed, well, he actually did say he believes in some form of the great replacement theory. These things are going to continue to happen because, number one, we have a political party that would rather gain votes off of stupidity than come up with any new ideas. We have another political party that refuses to stand up to these people because they keep trying to court them. On the one hand, they're like, hey, somebody from your community did something bad, you probably should do something about it. On the other hand, but hey, we believe in your values. If your values start with thinking Black and brown people are going to replace you, I don't care about your values. I don't. But and the people in the middle, the human beings in the middle, are the ones that suffer. This killer drove to he Googled, GPS'd a predominantly Black neighborhood. Think about the El Paso shooter that intentionally walked into an El Paso Walmart where predominantly Hispanic people shopped and shot at them. And these men are walking around believing in their heart that we're going to replace you. Charlottesville was about Jews replacing. That's the other half of it. They believe the Jewish population, who literally just want to go to synagogue and live, they're the puppet masters. And the problem is we've given these people a voice. We gave them an entire news organization. We've given them space to talk. And we have had no one push back on them and say, no. I know there's a joke going around that says, well, people act as, people are scared of being the minority in America. Why? Do we treat the minorities in America bad? It's become deadly now. And it's always been this way. It has always been this way, but it has been suppressed. It has been pushed back. George Herbert Walker Bush pushed back on it. Reagan gave lip service to it. Ford gave lip service to it. Nixon was just an out and out racist. He didn't even care, and it has been Republican and Democratic presidents that have pushed back on it, but they've also kind of egged it on because they never forcibly came out and said to these people, what is so bad about having a diverse society? What is so bad about wanting different voices from different segments of life? Nobody's ever stood up and said, our heroes are not that great. They're not these great men. When Johnson allowed or forgave, what was it? He pardoned the Confederate generals and soldiers and allowed them to be buried with military honors. That was the first problem. No, they're traitors. They are traitors. And we have Eddie uh, Eddie said something right after the El Paso shooting that people have played on this racism. They've played on it. They have gambled on it. They have, traded one thing for the other on this racism. It's never been addressed, not properly at least. It's never been fully looked at in the eye. It has always been pushed upon as something that people of color have had to deal with. Racism is our problem. No, it isn't. So when something like this great replacement theory comes up, it's not it's considered a Black person problem. It's not our problem. We didn't do this. And until white people start to tell other white people to fix white people issues, to have them be honest about the history of this country. Nobody's asking for your blood. Nobody's asking for your wallet. We simply want you to acknowledge what has gone on in this country. Do something about it. Why is the white supremacist movement not treated the way the Black Panthers was? Why is the white supremacist movement not treated the way Malcolm X and Martin Luther King was? Why were they not followed by the FBI? Why? Until white America starts to confront their own history, and it's not something that you do on a website, it's something you do in your house. It's something you do with your parents. It's something you do with your grandparents. Until
these are learned behaviors.
Yes, you have, but that's the thing. They frame slavery as a Black person issue when it is a white person's problem. They frame the civil rights movement as a victory for Black people when it should have been a call out and a atonement for white people. They frame the idea of Black Lives Matter as it's just a Black issue. No, it is confronting the idea that exactly the white majority society in America does not pay attention to lives that do not look like them. And now you have something like the Great Replacement Theory, which is an offshoot of CRT or whatever you want to call it. That's the other thing. Until white people start to confront their own problems, there will be another targeted mass shooting. There will be another one. And it will hit yet another vulnerable community, like they did with the Sikhs, like they did with the Muslims, like they did the Jewish temple. It will happen again. And we'll be doing hand wringing because we're not going to talk about guns. You already know that. Guns is a non-starter. We're never going to do anything about guns. We're just going to keep letting have them out. We'll talk about mental illness. We'll never spend any money on it. We'll talk about video games. I got video games. I've never wanted to shoot anybody. Until white people confront their own biases, their own issues within their homes, their communities, we will continue to have things like this happen. And it's still not changing the fact that 2045, 2050, white people will be the minority in America. It's not changing. So you can shoot everybody. It doesn't matter. You're not changing that. So it's better to look with it. What do they always tell us? Do some soul searching. Do you hold a little bit of racism in your heart? If you do, ask yourself why. Have you taught that little bit of racism to your kids? Have you and your wife sat down and had a conversation about some of the diversity problems that you have in your marriage or have in your family or in your communities? Until white people start doing that, they will continue to ask Black, brown, and indigenous people to just hold on a little bit more. Just a couple more minutes, hold on a second. We've been holding on since the end of slavery. It has never gotten better. It has never got. My heart breaks for these people that lost their lives in Buffalo, but my heart breaks for the people in Charleston. My heart breaks for the 8 women, the 8 Asian women who lost their lives in the salon. My heart breaks for the Sikh temple. My heart breaks for the Jewish temple that was shot up. How many more times are we going to do this before white people realize this problem ain't with us? This is not an us problem. This is a y'all problem. And as long as people like Tucker Carlson are allowed, and then, the free speech and First Amendment, that does not stop that man from somebody other than Black folks calling him out on this stuff. Why is it always imperative on Black, brown, and indigenous people to do the work? This is a white person problem. The idea of the great replacement theory has nothing to do with Black, brown, and indigenous people. We just so happen to be the biggest victims of that mindset. When history is truly taught that these men that we've revered are not great. Some of them were racist. Some of our heroes were racist. Some of our heroes were sexist. Some of our heroes were homophobic and xenophobic. When white folks start saying, hey, we probably shouldn't be honoring this guy, and start to do an inward outlook, maybe we might get something done, but I doubt it'll happen. And it's still not going to change the fact that they will still be the minority. And it's them basically all of this is them, rallying against the dying of the sun. It's still going to happen. It's still going to happen. You can hold on to it all you want. It's still going to happen. You're still going to be the minority. And that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of that. And it just comes down to fear.
I have found a quote from President Johnson, since you mentioned him, and it made me think of it. President Johnson was asked why poor white Republicans repeatedly vote against their own self-interest. And his response was, and I'm quoting, if you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, again, that would have been the vernacular of the day.
Yeah, back there.
He won't know you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him someone to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He also reminded me of the story of what I consider to be the original snowflake, which would be Ronald Reagan.
Yep. Yes.
When he was governor of California and the California legislature was in session, I know that you know this story.
Mm-hmm.
And the Black Panthers went to protest the California government armed.
Yep.
They had rifles on their shoulders because in that day, it was legal to carry them.
Mm-hmm.
And it so scared all of the white legislators that within 3 weeks they had banned it. So don't tell me that we can't have weapons legislation in this country, because we've done it before. So much of what I talk about on the program is that the answers to our own issues are in our own history.
Yes.
We can legislate against these weapons, which is what I call them. They are not just guns. They are not rifles. They're weapons.
Mm-hmm.
We can legislate against weapons because we've done it. California did it. St. Reagan did it. Because a group of armed Black men on the Capitol steps scared the ever-living crap out of them.
Do you remember?
And to be fair, the Democratic legislators
Mm-hmm.
as well. And they took care of that
when...
within 3 weeks. But let me ask you something.
Oh, go ahead.
Can great replacement be a theory when it has become one of the pillars of the non-platform of Republicans? It kind of isn't really a theory then anymore, is it?
No.
It's kind of a practice. It's kind of because the RNC, and remember, folks, it's a few months back now, the Republican National Committee had a vote. They had a proper vote of their membership to have no policy platform whatsoever. Nothing. That's why Rick Scott had to put his out. There is no national Republican policy platform. None.
Mm-hmm.
The former political party known as Republicans, the current Republican Corporation, has no platform. None. Officially. They voted on it. Yes, I'm saying it over and over again. They have no platform at all. So things like this, don't they, Mac, become the platform?
And that's the thing. The Republican Party has been playing very fast and loose with the devil's bargain for far too long.
Well, you
And
have to keep the poor people in line somehow.
oh, you
There's
do.
simply not enough votes. If all you have are billionaires and multimillionaires, there's simply not enough of them.
But
You
the
can't
thing
win
is,
elections that way. So you've got to rope in the other folks in some other way. And that comes down to that black guy's going to take your job.
exactly.
And that Hispanic guy's going to take your job. And they're going to move into the house in your neighborhood right down the street. And you don't want that super highway built because then they can get to you quicker. That's all
really
you've
honestly,
got left.
Yes,
There's nothing else left.
They know that. The Republican Party, because remember in 2016 and 2020, the Republican Party did not have a platform. When they walked into the Republican conventions in 2016 and 2020, they did not have a platform. It was whatever free-flowing BS was coming out of Donald Trump's mouth. That was going to be their platform.
And that was actually the language that they passed during the Republican National Convention in 16. The language during the platform debate was at these national political conventions, folks, the big ones every 4 years, they do actually do some work.
Oh, of course.
They have committees. They actually take testimony, if you can believe it or not, much like a congressional committee. They work on the platform. They work on language. All of the sample legislation, all these things. In 2016, the Republican Party, as it stood then, made a conscious vote to say in their platform committee meetings, we don't really need to write it all down. Whatever Trump says, that will be our platform. And that was literally the language they signed off on. And the last RNC, which happened just a few months ago, I want to say it was right at the beginning of the year, their vote was to literally have none. They don't even have that language anymore.
No.
They have a blank platform. If you go to the website, you will find statements of quote unquote principle. They're not called that, and they are certainly devoid of principle. But it'll talk about anti-abortion and immigration reform and giving you back your tax dollars and things like this.
Whatever that
but
means.
There's no real legislative policy.
No.
Now, Rick Scott, in his infinite wisdom, the junior senator from Florida, and let's remember who Rick Scott is. He is guilty of the single largest case of Medicare fraud in the history of the country. But he settled. He never went to jail, didn't have to admit guilt, and kept all the money. About $1.6 billion. So what did he do with that money? Well, he bought himself the governorship of Florida. And after he was term limited out of that, he bought himself a Senate seat. He decided to write a platform himself for when the Republicans regain control of the Senate. In that platform is the following. Not reform, ending Medicare and Social Security in 5 years. Ending it. Ending the program. Not changing it. Not quote unquote reforming it. Not even giving it to the states to administer. No, shutting it down entirely. And raising taxes on the poorest 47% of Americans. Republicans, there are, believe it or not, 47% of the population pays no federal tax whatsoever because they don't make enough money. Now, Republicans don't see this as a problem. They see it as a crime that they don't pay any taxes. They don't see a problem that nearly half the population makes so little money that they don't even qualify. They don't even reach the minimum income to pay taxes. Rick Scott thinks you should all pay taxes. You need some skin in the game. His own quote. How much skin in the game does Elon Musk have? How much skin in the game does Jeff Bezos have? Or Bill Gates? Or any of the 600, just shy of 700, it's not quite 700 yet, but just shy of 700 billionaires in this country. How much skin do they have? How much skin does Ted Cruz have in the game? Or Josh Hawley? Or Rick Scott himself? A billionaire. How much? How much skin do they have? I wonder. My guess is none. In fact, it's way more than a guess. None.
I guarantee you they have none. But they also have, in addition to not paying anything, these powerful people also have something else. They have the old trope. And it was the trope that white wealthy slave owners used on those poor indentured servants. And that trope is this: you're white. There it is. That it, in order for the Republican Party to continue to do what they do right now, they have to use coded words. They have taken Lee Atwater's formula. Yeah, they've taken his formula and streamed it out so much that it looks nothing like what Lee Atwater was saying in '86. So you say things like patriotism, real America, hardworking. You pick up a pickup truck. I don't care what company, as long as it isn't like Toyota or Nissan. You pick up a truck, a Ford, a Chevy, a GMC, put some big tires on it. Put some jangly country guitars behind it. Get yourself an old flag. Make sure that flag is big flag. And you talk about Americanism. And then you juxtapose that with riots, with Black Lives Matter riots. You talk about welfare queens, because that's what got Reagan over. Good job for there. You do things like, when you talk about rap music, you talk about the violence in rap music. You make people believe that Chicago is the only place where Negroes live. All 13% of the population of African Americans, we all live in Chicago, and we're all doing black on black crime. Don't ask me why. I think I have something better to do on my Sundays other than black on black crime. But you've got Americana patriotism on this side, Black Lives Matter, violence. Oh,
wait, you didn't say it right.
Oh,
it's Merca.
Merca, yes. And let's throw in some leather daddies, some gays in there just to scare the Christians. Oh,
yeah. Among the mass shootings that you cited was the God forgive me for forgetting, the nightclub in Orlando.
Yes, the Pulse nightclub.
Pulse nightclub. Thank you, because it was full of gay people.
Yep.
Seems like a good place to go slaughter everyone. Because who cares? They're gay anyway.
Mm-hmm. You do that, and you get enough of the rubes in real America to believe that these moralist, violent, over-sexualized human beings are going to replace them. And the only person that can stop it is someone like Donald Trump, who's a real American, even though out of all the human beings that could have led the MAGA cult, Donald Trump is the least qualified person to lead the cult that he created, the least qualified human being. But they have people believing that Donald Trump is this great, strong, powerful man who could not handle a bottle of water. You do all of this. And while that's going on, you get the QAnon thing going on, because conspiracy theories seem to follow these people like the plague. There were conspiracy theories during the rise of the Tea Party that we should have all stamped out like roaches with the light on, but we didn't. We should have stamped them out the moment they showed up, but we didn't. We let them go. Is it
an oversimplification? Because you've been on this program enough, you've listened to my program enough.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
To know that I've said this before, but let me, for the context of the conversation that we're in, let me ask you again. Is it an oversimplification to say that all of this, I mean, quite literally all of it.
Uh-huh.
Look, I know there are folks who take their faith, and no pun intended, deadly seriously,
Mm-hmm.
who live and breathe to end abortion. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
There are folks who live and breathe to hold on to their attic full of guns. I get that too. There are genuinely racist people on the planet. I get that.
Uh-huh.
This conflagration of all of these things, and I said that wrong, this confluence, this where all these rivers meet.
Yeah.
It's always been my opinion that, especially from the puppet masters up at the top that are pulling the strings, i.e. the 1%, or even more accurately, the 0.1%.
Okay.
It's all just shiny object over here. And that it actually goes back to President Johnson's quote, even with all of his flaws, and you outlined a few of those too.
Yep.
He also gave us a great society and cut poverty in half.
Exactly.
Not a perfect man, not a complete waste of a presidency either. That this is all just distraction to continue to take wealth, to hoard wealth.
Yes.
I don't think Elon Musk gives a passing thought to race. I truly don't. I don't think he gives a passing thought to abortion rights.
No.
Or does Bezos. And for those of us who lived in Northeast New Jersey and in the New York metropolitan area, Trump used to get out and talk about let gays get married. Who cares? They're not affecting anybody other than themselves. It's free choice. Who cares if women get abortion? He grabbed all of this for power and for money. He said he would be the first man to make money on the presidency, and he did. So is this an oversimplification to say that this is all about money at the end of the day? Power and money, and even money more than power. Yes, power helps you garner all the money, but money and power at the end of the day. I don't think the top 1% of the Koch brothers were actually in the very few interviews that they did, were very upfront about the fact that socially they were quite liberal. They didn't care. They didn't care if interracial couples got together and got married and had children. They didn't care about gay marriage. They didn't care about any of it. They want zero regulation. They want a government that does little more than provide a military so they can do whatever they want in a business sense. It's money and money and money and money and money. That is not to say that what happened in Buffalo is not, again, pardon the pun, not deadly serious to you, Sarge, because you look different than me. Mm-hmm. It's serious to me too. But when I get pulled over, I'm not in fear of my life. It's just a fact. Mm-hmm. So it's not to say that it's not serious. I think you know that's not what I mean. I'm not saying that these issues are not serious. They're deadly serious. But at the end of the day, it's chum in the water so we can keep stealing money from you.
Of course. But the thing is, and this is why I said it's a devil's bargain that the Republican Party signed on to. Because when you play with social thought processes to make capitalistic gains, you're going to waste more than you get. Yes, your donor class is going to get everything that they want. And you're going to maintain the ability to care. We'll have power. We'll have the levers of power. We'll have leadership and things of that nature. But what you are doing is you're coarsening the country that you're trying to get these things from. It's almost as if, okay.
But does Elon Musk care? The United States split into 10 pieces tomorrow. Does he care?
He cares only because his class, the pool of people he wants to buy his product is diverse. I know black folks that own Teslas. I know Mexican people that own Teslas. I know Asian people that own Teslas. I know white people that own Teslas. So he's looking at it like, bottom line, I want to sell this product and I don't care who buys it. It's a drug dealer's mentality. I got product. I don't care who buys it. I don't care. Do you have the money to afford it? Good. If you don't, then I don't want to talk to you. The Republican Party signing on to this idea, however, has stirred up the parts that people like Buckley tried to get rid of in the first place. Buckley wanted a classier conservatism. Yeah, you can still have racist ideas, but please be classy about it. So the John Birchers,
be gentle in your racism.
Exactly. The John Birchers,
wear a suit and tie when you talk.
Yeah, John Birchers, you got to go. Klan, we're not talking to you. You know, he might listen to a guy like Strom Thurmond, but he's going to be like, okay, Strom, listen, you're elected now. What are you going to do for the business class? Well, I go on Southern. No, Strom, listen to me. What are you going to do for the business class? That might play with the Southern racist rubes. I'm an upper class Republican. I don't care. I have product to sell there, Strom. What are you going to do? But and his ideas of these classy upper crust conservatives were Barry Goldwater. They were Ronald Reagan. You notice Reagan did the wink and a nod racism. Goldwater might have done racism, but he was kind of like unaware that it was racism. It was just kind of like secondhand racism. I'm going to smoke this cigarette. You might catch cancer. I'm going to catch cancer, but you might catch it. It's secondhand. We don't have secondhand racism anymore. And the Republicans know this, but they're still thinking in terms of, you know, this will get us the Congress. This will get us the Senate. And we might be able to get the White House in 2024. But what are you leading? You have burned the country so that you can sit on top of the ashes. That is the devil's bargain that the Republican Party has made. They have MAGA is racism with a nice red hat. The Tea Party was racism with tricorn hats. They have made
in China.
Made in China. They've made these bargains with the racists because they realize you don't have anything that appeals to Black people. You have some Black conservatives that I respect, Condoleezza Rice, Michael Steele, Colin Powell, the actor Joseph C. Phillips. I respect those Republicans. Even if I disagree with them, I respect them. But you do not have any policies that Black people like myself are going to look at and go, I might consider that. No, I'm going to remember Nixon and the Southern Strategy, Lee Atwater, Ronald Reagan. You have nothing to offer me. So, and in knowing that, they opted to embrace the worst aspects, but they let them in a little at a time, just a little at a time. Okay, well, you know, W had racist moments, Katrina, but he wasn't Trump. And they were like, okay, we'll let a little in, just a little ink, not a much, not a lot, you know, not enough to get you sick. Then Obama gets elected. They're like, okay, all bets are off. So when the Tea Party rose up and the racist influences within the Tea Party started happening, but the Republicans saw it as, hey, we can get victories off of this. The business class said, hey, embrace that. Because if you get that, gather that, you win. If you win, you can elect and enact some of the policies that we want. The Koch brothers might be socially liberal, but they're businessmen first. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to get anything that the Koch brothers once done or Alex once done if you do not have the majorities in order to be able to do it. So they'll say, embrace a little bit more of it. Donald Trump blew the door open. He came out the gates embracing the worst aspects of republicanism. And the Republicans saw it at first as like they were repelled, they were horrified. They were like, no, we can't do this. Do y'all see this? The man, he's uneducated, he's an idiot, he's a philanderer, and he's kind of a racist. But then Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy and all of them kind of stood back and they said, wait a minute. We can get some stuff done with this guy. And that was Donald Trump was the full manifestation of the devil's bargain. So now, realizing what they did to get where they are right now, they really have to think we either are all in or we lose. Because no policy that the Republican Party, like you just said, Rick Scott came up with a list of an agenda that he wants to enact if the Republicans take over Congress and the Senate. That doesn't appeal to poor people. That doesn't appeal to people like myself. And more importantly, it won't appeal to these poor rube Southern Republicans and these rock rib kind of working class Republicans if you said that out loud. Hey, we got you all here, so guess what? We're going to cut Social Security, and you guys your taxes are going to be raised. Anybody trying to hear that? They ain't trying to hear that. So what do? CRT. We're going to talk about CRT and how it's making your little white kids feel bad. Hey, did you hear about the 10-month abortion? What is a 10-month abortion? Yeah, a woman's having birth, she gets to have a baby, and as soon as the head cuts off, to kill it. They have to do this. They have no choice. What annoys me is that we have another political party that knows it as well. You think the Democrats don't know this? They know exactly what they're doing. They see it. They're sitting there going, these people have embraced the worst of America. You've had, and this is Republican candidates that ran over the past, 4 or 5 years. You had an out and out white supremacist Nazi running in Illinois. You had an out and out pedophile trying to run in Virginia. It was either Virginia or Pennsylvania. I can't remember which one. There is a woman whose video is going around TikTok right now where she's saying that the First Amendment is the reason Jesus helped us get the country, and we slaughtered the Native Americans so that we can have, they were sacrificed. They have embraced these people. In 20 years ago, Marjorie Taylor Greene would have never been seated in Congress. The Republicans would have kicked her out. You got to go. You can't be here. You're stupid. You got to leave. Lauren Boebert would not have been seated. Matt Gaetz, what the stuff that has come out about Matt Gaetz would have made sure he was not seated in Congress. Madison Cawthorn would have never made it to the ballot. These people would never have made it to the ballot, but they have now. And unfortunately, yes, the business class, the limited government capitalists of America are going to get everything that they want. Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy are going to get leadership positions, and the country is going to burn. And I don't mean physically burn, I mean literally. This is going to be the end of American politics as we know it. When you have one political, all right. When you have one political, oh, okay. When you have one,
believe it or not, my work has intruded right into the middle of my program, as it usually does. When you're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, sometimes it happens. I'm literally gone right onto it. So I'm going to mute myself. You're going to be watching me talk to one of my workers. When you have capitalists that want, to make money off of the backs of things, they're willing to do that no matter who's in charge. When you have people like McConnell and McCarthy who are perfectly okay with getting in leadership positions no matter how bad they do it, they're willing to do whatever it takes to get there. You get what we have right now. That's why we got to talk about the great replacement thing. Nobody's replacing anybody. Nobody's getting replaced. It just seems sometimes like, I don't know, and it's painful to watch because why? Just why? It's sad that our politics have diverted to this. We had a chance at one point to, okay, we elected Obama.
So now the Republicans are going to have to try to find themselves a highly intelligent candidate with, but better ideas and things, and we'll have a good debate. They elected Trump. They made their devil's bargain. And by the time it was over, and it still isn't over, because the big lie, quote unquote, the election was stolen by Hugo Chavez and China and Venezuela. That still is a thing. That thing is going to give them, congressional seats. We when you embrace the worst aspects of America, you gain a little bit of power at the expense of I won't even say your soul. I'll say something in effect of, civil discourse. Because you're not going to get anybody. I'm not voting for the Republicans. I will never vote for the Republicans. Not after seeing that. It's just like, no. But yes, that's how it happens. That's exactly how it happens. Oh my goodness. I'm reading the chat. Hi, y'all.
Hi.
Hello.
It's so nice to talk with you.
It's nice to talk to you. Very nice to talk to you.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
a lot of fun when your work gets right into your way there.
Oh, Jeff, you left me out there for a few minutes.
Exactly,
it's perfectly okay.
Exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to hop in, but I wasn't fast enough.
Oh no, you're muted.
Yeah, but you should be coming through. I can hear you.
I thought I had an echo, so I muted myself.
We did have an echo. So you can't hear her at all, Mac?
Oh, I can now.
Okay, we got it. We got it.
For
some reason, that something has changed. That
is your job
it's
okay?
Now, no. I don't want to bore everybody with technical crap, but it's for some reason something between the two broadcast stations changed, kind of sort of on its own. I know the old adage is that the computer only does what you tell it to do. Well, it changed, and now we get an echo whenever. I think it's because I think it's because the microphone on that laptop is active even when it should not be, is my guess. But that's different.
You have that sort of your computers don't like you. See, everything all the computers in my room, all of this runs on me, and I don't play that. If this computer
there's a lot of things that don't like me. There's a lot of things that don't like me. There's people in the chat right now that don't like me.
So, but Jeff, I do have a question. I have a question for you.
Oh no.
And I'm asking you this. Call it I have white men in my family. I have white men who are friends. A lot of them.
You have white friends?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
You know what I'm just.
I know.
We were just talking about that earlier, about the I have black friends syndrome. So.
Yeah. What do you feel about? How do you feel about the Great Replacement theory? How do you feel about it?
I feel, unfortunately, and I don't say unfortunately lightly, that my lack of growing up facing what you've had to face informs my feelings about it. I don't have the same level of connection with it. That gut, visceral, I tend to roll my eyes at it. And I think I roll my eyes at it way too easily and way too dismissively. Because I don't have the life experiences that you have. I think it's serious. I think it's a symptom of a growing, edging toward what Tom Hartman now believes to be a shooting civil war, what Robert Reich now believes to be a shooting civil war in this country.
Yeah.
But I tend to always take it back to what I asked you. It is the shiny object.
Mm-hmm.
But because Republicans have divided the country into such small pieces, you need to have a hell of a lot of shiny objects.
You do.
And that's one of them. There's also big thanks to Kristen for hopping in here while I had to take a work call. She just ran off again. She just got home from work. She jumped in there because I had to. But we, and I know that there's more to it than that, because I know in a nation of 330 million people, you can't paint a broad brush about anything.
No.
From ice cream flavor to great replacement. You can't
Mm-hmm.
paint everybody with one brush. I know that there are devotees to great replacement.
Mm-hmm.
That young kid literally thought he was gonna get replaced.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell replaced means in that deranged brain, it meant something to him.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to look at it strictly from the power and the economics, and I should have a broader view of it. But again, perhaps because I'm trying to admit my own shortcomings here too, but perhaps because I simply didn't grow up the way you did.
No.
And maybe it makes it easier for me to just say, man, I can't believe so many people are fooled by that while they are trapped, deliberately designed into a cycle of poverty, just so a tiny handful of people can be even more wealthy. But I know that there's a lot more to it than that. Like I said, I know that there's people that they believe it. They absolutely believe it to their core.
Yeah. And the problem is,
and I don't know that that's the answer that you were even looking for. But
no,
it is.
It made sense. It makes sense in as much as, see, I will use the Jeff Kennedys of the world. Okay, I'm gonna say the Jeff Kennedys of America.
God help you with that.
the Jeff Kennedys of America. You guys will always see how a certain thing influences a certain other thing. You know what I mean? Like, so, and I'm not even, it's not a knock against you. I wish I had that ability, but you will always see the economic veins in certain things. There are some Jeff Kennedys of America who can see the oh, well, this is a slow creep towards getting rid of the Second Amendment, or, you know, this is a slow creep towards enacting different, like, Sharia law. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that worldview is needed. But when you get to a person who's either Black or brown, indigenous or a lesbian or gay or trans, we are required to be multifaceted. We have to see things from different points of view, because if we don't, we'll miss it. And if we miss it, it can come back and harm us. Like, for example, I have to be extremely aware of my race when I leave my house. But at the exact same time, I also have to be aware of any conversation that I have with a woman as a man. You see what I'm saying? So it's like,
but I think that's exactly the point I'm trying to make, and I'm not making it as well as it. I don't.
Oh no, you did. You absolutely.
I don't
absolutely
have to think of those things. Well, I have to think of one of the two of those things that you cited, and I think that makes it easier for me to look at these things, this abortion argument, the replacement theory, we're being swarmed by a caravan at the border. You know, we never worry about the folks coming in from Canada, but only from South. You know, all of these things, we it's all, to me, it's all distraction. It is wealth. It is wealth and wealth and wealth and wealth. When we look at risk of changing the subject, and I won't do it if you want to stay where we're going, but
Oh no, I see.
we had a meeting of our local Democratic committee here earlier today, one that frustrated me greatly, and so much so that I decided to stay silent through it. So you can imagine how thrilled I was by what was happening.
That bad.
But we did mention inflation, and someone mentioned gas prices. Well, a couple days ago, I was on another call where we talked about gas prices, and I know where I'm getting. Just give me.
Oh, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Gas during the height of the stay-at-home guidelines during the pandemic, and remember, those stay-at-home guidelines started under Trump, and he did it to save the hospital system, because there aren't empty beds in this country, because empty beds are not profitable. So we all had to stay home. Oil refining capacity was cut literally in half. In half. Meaning, let me take it from the other angle, that of all the refining capacity that was online at that time, 50% of it was shut down. None of that refining capacity has been brought back online. None. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania gives the fossil fuel industry a free $3.2 billion a year. Tax subsidies and tax breaks, kickbacks and refunds. Nationally, that's over 500 billion. Senator Sanders tells us it's actually about 800 billion. Globally, it's 5.5 trillion dollars. There are thousands of as yet unused leases for drilling that the government has handed out, and they haven't even been touched. If anybody was paying attention, you heard President Biden in front of these oil industry executives at the White House say, you have the leases, go drill. But they aren't. And oh, by the way, the 28 largest fossil fuel companies on the planet recorded net profits for the first quarter of 2022, it just finished, of over $100 billion. This is not inflation, it is wealth extraction. It is a manipulation of the market. This is a capitalism problem. So what does that have to do with the question that Sergeant Mack asked me? Because if I'm spending all my time worrying about Buffalo, it makes it a lot easier to blame a Democratic president for gas prices, because I don't know any of the facts behind it. And because in typical Democratic fashion, everything that I just went through doesn't fit on a bumper sticker. And if it did, you better have a damn big bumper. So that's my very long-winded answer to your question. I tend to look at these things as distraction, as don't look at that, look over here, everybody look over here, look over here, look over here.
Yep.
Put my hand in your pocket, look over here, look over here, look over here. Never mind, I got his wallet. Okay, look at whatever you want.
But you know
and
what?
Run away.
That idea, that mindset, it's starting to become one of those things where even the economics is going to catch up with social.
You would think, again, the baby formula issue. This is a capitalism problem.
Yes.
This is not a government problem.
But they
this is not a political problem. It's sure as hell isn't a Democratic Party problem.
Yeah.
3 manufacturers in the whole damn country make it. When one of them stops, you have a shortage.
Damn.
This is a capitalism problem. This is a Sherman Antitrust Act problem. This is a monopoly problem because we stopped enforcing all those laws going back to Reagan, and a couple of Democratic administrations didn't do anything about it. These are capitalism problems.
But they
How
make
did we
monopoly-
lose? How did we lose over 70,000 factories in this country since the year 2000, since George W. Bush? Not jobs, factories. Because a Republican one-party government gave tax credits to offshore jobs. And when Democrats tried to reverse it, it died in the Senate through the filibuster. These are capitalism problems. These are Citizens United problems. These are campaign cash problems. You as a black man, you're sitting down, right? What's
Yes,
that?
I am sitting down. Yes.
You're a black man then. You're aware of that?
Yes, actually.
Just
I am.
wanted to let you know,
Yes.
make sure that you were with me.
Yeah, I'm glad you let me know. But yes.
I fully understand that you have different things that you have to keep in your brain when you walk out your front door in the morning. I will never understand them from a practical standpoint. I know that you have to deal with them. I will never understand them. You see my difference?
Yes, I do.
So it does make it easier for me to look at these things a little more analytically, because I simply will never understand what you have to go through. I just won't. The only thing that might come close is when you travel abroad and you come out of the front door of the hotel and people go, "That's the American."
Mm-hmm. I've been in
That's
places.
the closest thing I can. And believe me, that is a very poor analogy, but it's the only one I have for you right now. So
Mhm.
that's why, in an extremely long-winded answer, why am I as cut and dry or as analytical about them as that? Because I don't have that extra element that you have or that you have to deal with. I simply don't have it.
But you know what? There's a difference between knowing you don't have it, which is you, and where a lot of people are, a lot of white people are. And the fact is, a lot of them not only know they don't have that life experience, but they try to put themselves into that life experience using their life experience. So for you, economics is a thing. It will always be the thing. You will always be an economic analytical person. So something like what happens in Buffalo is always going to blow your mind. It's always going to blow your mind because you're going to go, wait a minute.
It's a policy, political
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
I do politics. Me do politics. It's
It's a policy thing. You're looking at it like gun control, economics, things. Okay. There are white people who walk around here today who will try to put themselves in the shoes of Black, brown, and indigenous people, but use their life experiences. Well, if I was a Black guy, I wouldn't be afraid of the police. Yes, you would. Yes, you would. If I was a Mexican, I would just come over here legally. Do you understand what these people are running from? You know, so when something like Charlottesville happens, when something like Buffalo happens, when something like Charleston happens, you have white people thinking like Black people and they're missing everything. That's why I said it's a lot of women have to do the exact same thing. A lot of women have to do the exact same thing. The most self-aware mind in America today is the mind of a Black woman. I don't care however you try to slice it. The most self-aware mind in America is the mind of a Black woman, because they understand different things on levels that even myself don't understand. I've never been a Black mother. So to understand the pain of losing your son to not only to gun violence, to police violence, what have you, I've never experienced it. But Black women have. To go into an office and know that you are highly intelligent, scholarly, you know your job, and then to be questioned not just by your white colleagues but your Black ones as well. I've never experienced that, but Black women have. Look at all of the Supreme Court confirmation hearings in history, and then look at Ketanji Brown Jackson's. Just look, that woman was asked questions so asinine, I got offended. And then you look at her record and you see that she is one of the most qualified, overly qualified people ever to serve on the Supreme Court. When you have these singularly thought people, sometimes it's good. They need Jeff Kennedys in the world to see the machinations of economics in everything. They need that.
It's the power, though. It's the power. It's not just the economics of it. It's the you see the puppet. It's the skewed master strings. It's the skewed economics of it. It's the reverse economics of it. It's the $220 billion isn't enough. We need more. We need more. I think that's part of this inflation problem too. When the child tax credit was put into effect, the Biden child tax credit, where people literally got checks for cash in their hands instead of just a write-off that you could do on your form, real dollars in your hand. It took 20 million children out of poverty.
Yep.
Isn't it just what a wild coincidence that all of the expenses related to child rearing went up? Isn't that something?
And we now have.
Isn't that something?
We now have.
I am postulating, and I'm more than postulating because I think the evidence is right there in front of all of us, that this class of oligarchs, which is exactly what they are.
Yep.
These oligarchs and the oligarchical class, this top 1%, this top 0.1%, has decided that money, child tax credit, the stimulus checks that were handed out during the pandemic, by the way, that began under Trump, the extended unemployment that was given out during the pandemic, that kept me in my home, to be blunt. Yeah. Oh, by the way, that started under Trump too.
Yep.
This class has decided that's not your money. That's our money. You don't deserve that. That's our money. And we're going to take it from you, no matter how we have to take it. In fact, we're going to lobby on both ends of it to make sure it doesn't happen again, because holy hell, we might have to pay taxes. So we're going to flood campaign cash on the one end to make sure that this stuff never happens and doesn't continue. And on the other end, we're going to raise all the prices and control the supply so that we can take all of it back.
Yes. Yes.
That's what this is. That's what this is. And oh, by the way, so you don't notice it, so you don't know what's happening to you, or don't think about it enough, here's another mass shooting.
Yeah.
Here's a leaked Supreme Court decision. Here's another mass shooting. Here's another white cop holding down a Black man, putting the barrel of his gun against the back of his skull and pulling the trigger.
Yeah. You will always have social issues that will interrupt economics and vice versa. It will continue to be that way because America does not solve anything anymore. We bounce from one issue to the next. They end up blending into each other.
But I think this leans into why I look at it the way I look at it. Please understand that I know if we go back to a New Deal form of taxation, where the top marginal rate is 94%, and corporate taxes are 50%, and CEOs can no longer be paid in stock, and the capital gains is 35%. We go back to a pre-Reagan slate of taxation. I absolutely understand that racism is not going to disappear.
No.
But I do think that the shiny objects might become a little less dim, or a little more dim. I said that backward. And there may be less of them so that we can solve some of these problems. Because if you can keep a roof over your head, and you can feed your family, and your school is not collapsing in on itself with lead pipes and asbestos, then you can focus on these other things. It's part of why we bounce from thing to thing to thing to thing is because we can't focus on any of it when you're just worried about how you're going to eat the next day. And if not the next day, Christ, how are you going to eat? You just finished breakfast. You're not going to have lunch unless you go to school.
Yep.
Are you going to be able to manage something for dinner? So a single Black, Hispanic, fill in the blank mother, or a young Black family, I have no doubt in my mind that they are just as devastated and shaken to their core when they see a buffalo as much as anybody else.
Yes.
But they're also trying to figure out how the hell to put food on the table for the kids. So there's only so much time you can focus on that. And if you can't focus on it, how the hell do you solve it?
Because and that's
am
why
I,
I said,
are you with, am I making any sense to you?
Oh
at
no,
all?
you're making perfect sense.
Okay,
and that's what I'm telling you. You're going to always end up with people. Americans should not be struggling as hard as we are. The reason things like the leaked support, the leaked draft of the Supreme Court decision, or a mass shooting, or what have you, the reason these things stand out is because it's almost like I'm not being paid well in my job, and there was a mass shooting. I'm not being, I don't know what I'm going to do for healthcare, and they're trying to take away reproductive rights. It's an and. America's biggest problem is we have too many ands. Our basic subsistence is not being taken care of on a day-to-day, week-to-week, or a month-to-month basis. And then we have to deal with additional. I tell people all the time, the level of PTSD within the Black community is staggering. It is staggering because there are a lot of white people who don't believe in the idea of generational trauma. I do, because the trauma my mother and father have shared was the trauma my grandmother and grandfather shared, which was the trauma that it's a generational thing. And then we have to deal with stuff, and the police want to beat the crap out of us. And
so how does that's not the right word for it. So how the level of, you just said the level of PTSD in the Black community. So how does the Black community, as exercised as the Black community can get, and to be quite honest, I've been both surprised but yet heartened by the reaction of the community in Buffalo, because it's been extremely peaceful. It has been 100% peaceful. It has been vigils and prayer sessions and white, Black, Hispanic, purple, green, Venus, Mars, in prayer circles holding hands. How does the community, much in the same way that we're talking about so many shiny objects around. How does that PTSD not bury the Black community into exactly the inaction that you're talking about? Isn't it easier if you have PTSD to just go, all right, I'm closing the doors, I'm pulling the curtains, and I'm out. I'm out.
The things you can the things you see us do is we survive. If there's a Black person who truly honestly believes that America loves them, they're a fool. I wake up knowing that America doesn't like me very much. And I get that. I understand. And yet I make TikTok videos. I hug my wife. I kiss my grandkids. I laugh. I joke. I have my friends. We survive. We get the lessons through life, and we get the skin to survive it. One of the things that I wish was not happening is how Black men and Black women fight amongst ourselves. We bring each other down because when a tragedy happens, we can gather our forces. You give us an opponent, an enemy, or something to overcome, we will knock it down and walk right past it. We try to find ways. We laugh, we love, we rap, we dance. Some of us are really militant. Some of us are really spiritual. Some of us are barefoot and long linens, listening to music with, neo soul things going on. Some of us are hardcore gangsters. Some of us are comic book nerds. We survive. We do what everybody else does, but we do it with a bit of an edge because we realize our traumas we carry, and our kids will carry the traumas that we have. I'm desperately trying to find a way to stop it. I want it gone. I want it away from us as far as possible. I would love if Black folks was able to just get up one day and just be us. But I know it probably won't happen in my lifetime. But we carry the traumas, we carry the lessons, we carry the memories, good, bad, or indifferent. Some of us do have a chip on our shoulders. I'll be the first person to say I do. I absolutely do. And I will never be ashamed of it, because it's not well, I hate all white people because of da-da-da. No, I understand that I live in a country that was not designed or prepared or had a place for someone that looks like me. So I'm going to exist here whether you wanted me to be here or not. I can be multifaceted, and I can also be flawed. I can be funny, and I can be militant. I can be angry. I can be loving. I can be profane and profound. I know that because I live in a society that did not have a place for me. When the day I was born, I was Black and a male. That's it. They didn't know anything else about me. 200 years ago, I would have been born. I was 3/5 of anything, 3/5 of a man. My grandfather had to hear the word boy as a 60-something-year-old man. So Black folks knowing that we were not put in the plans of this place, we exist. And the way we exist is we go, yeah, we know you don't like us. We know you didn't want us here. We know we were not in the design of this place. So we're going to survive it anyway. We're going to do it funny. We're going to do it sexy. We're going to do it loud. We're going to do it rough. We're going to do it profane. We're going to dance on you, dunk on you, hit a home run on you, run for the touchdown on you. We're going to bring up, one speech from Martin Luther King. Here's 10 more. Oh, you were afraid of Malcolm X? Guess what? Now I got a mustache like him. Look at my glasses. I've read every book. We're going to be the most spiritual. We're going to be the most hardworking. We're going to save you. We're going to save your elections. We're going to save your candidacy. You're going to have to come to us to figure out whether or not we accept you. We're going to do all of these things, and we're still going to rally around each other when a tragedy happens. Rally around each other when a neighborhood is burnt. Rally around each other when black on black crime happens. Rally around each other when we're missing. We're going to say people's names. We're going to yell Black Lives Matter. And we're going to do it whether these people want us to do it or not. And the saddest thing is that we have to do it that way in the first place. Black folks have to be multifaceted. We ain't no choice. We cannot, there's not a day I can get up and just worry about one thing. Because that might be the day that I'm no longer here. I'm shot, or the police suspect me of something, of a crime. So I don't have the day, I can't have a one thing day. I'd like to, but I have to be cognizant. Black people are cognizant of it. We just simply do what we do anyway. We do it better than some people expect us, better than some people wanted us to do it. We shine, we smile, and we will continue to do so, whether anybody wants us here or not. We are the if the Democratic Party has a backbone, it's black people, it's black women. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I was getting to that actually.
Yeah,
it's very funny. We're clear because I was going to ask you. I got derailed because another question came up into my head. I do at some point want to ask you, and the boss is coming on the line.
Okay.
Here at some point, April is coming in, but how many more elections do black women have to save our asses? But I wanted to ask you another question.
Okay.
That it literally came to me as you were just speaking, because I was going to ask you the other question. But why is what you and I are doing so hard? You and I have never had the honor, or be an honor for me. You might think differently because I'm goofy, but I would consider it an honor. I've invited you here to the Valley. You have done the same. You've been kind enough to do the same for Kristen and I. We obviously, nobody's been doing a hell of a lot of travel the last 2 years, but the point is it's out there. And why is it? I consider you a dear friend. I'll lay down anything for you.
Okay.
And I believe in my heart you would do the same for us.
Absolutely.
Even though we've only been able to forge this friendship in an electronic, very, very modern way.
Yes.
But why is that so hard? Why is there not more of this? Which is to say, which is to not say that there isn't any.
Mm-hmm.
But why isn't there more of it? I can look you in the face and say, I don't understand your struggles, and you can accept that. Mm-hmm. And you can try to explain it to me in the same way that I can try to explain to you this very over analytical, yes, almost sterile sort of way that I look at it. Mm-hmm. But why isn't there more of this? Why don't we just talk to each other more? I don't think in any way, shape, or form that the friendship that I've been honored enough to forge with you is unique, but it seems there's not enough of it either.
The easiest way to answer that question, honestly, is give you an analogy. So, Jeff, if I came up to you right now and told you your car was on fire, you would believe me, right?
Oh yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised.
I would given
the current state of my car, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, so I would have no reason to lie to you about that car. I see it's on fire. I knock on your door and say, "Hey, your car's on fire, right?" And it's a factual thing. You can see the smoke and things like that. In America, there are a whole lot of people, black, brown, indigenous, gay, straight, what have you, who are rallying or saying things that are factually true. They're just uncomfortable to hear. You're like, wait a minute, that's my car. My car's on fire. I don't like that my car's on fire. But then you get pushback when you tell these people this. The reason you don't see a whole lot more open conversations is because if I give you something I looked up, I say, hey, Jeff, I looked this up. I checked out the sources. The sources are straight on this one. this happened. You have two choices: to accept it or to not accept it and find whether or not I'm lying. Two fairly easy choices. You know what I mean? Fairly easy choices. But too many people want to argue against it. So no matter what my life experience is, there's going to be somebody who is not going to want to believe it. I can tell somebody the story about how when I was 13 years old, I got physically assaulted by a cop. I can tell the story about how he threw me up against a paddy wagon, bashed me upside the head with a Maglite flashlight. The back of my head was bleeding. He threw me put handcuffs on me, threw me in the back of a paddy wagon. I got called the N-word several times. 2 other cops showed up. They called me the N-word. A 90-something-year-old lady said I was breaking in cars, and she said it wasn't me because I had on black pants. I was wearing a white karate gi, but she said the guy that was breaking into cars was wearing black pants. I can tell you how that cop got me out of the back of the paddy wagon and put a .357 Magnum in my face and told me that he could blow me away and get an award and for me to run home. Now, I can tell that story. And it's true. This actually did happen. But there will be somebody there that says, I don't believe it. Cops aren't like that. The cops I know aren't like that. I don't care about the cops that you know. I'm telling you what the cop did to me. And it spirals from there.
Let me expand on that for a tiny bit.
Go ahead.
I hear everything you just said.
Uh-huh.
I absolutely do. If we go back in time, that young man right here. Oh, there we go. You can still find the film of it online. I'm sure it's got to be somewhere. After Bobby Kennedy resigned as Attorney General, after President Kennedy had been assassinated, he left the public spotlight for a while. He then decided to tour, and it was constantly asked if he was going to run for president. No interest. And then began to tour the country and started touring the country by going to some of the poorest places in the country. What the Appalachia areas of West Virginia and interior Virginia, the northern sections of Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, not down on the coast, but those northern inland sections, Arkansas, and found families of all colors living in tin shacks that had been pieced together with scrap pieces of metal. They had no running water, no electricity, no heat, no air. The children weren't going to school. They couldn't bathe unless they quite literally did it in the stream. But America believed it.
Yeah.
Now, they believed it because it was on film. It was Bobby Kennedy, so the news cameras followed him. You know, if he stopped and bought a bagel in the morning, they filmed it. So I understand it's a little different, but I think you understand my question.
Yes.
And there's also the very famous part of that newsreel where he's standing in the foreground in a shirt, what became to be the famous white collared shirt with the rolled up sleeves. He had the jacket over his shoulder, no tie, and the shack was in the not the foreground, but in the background.
Background.
Why did I not remember background? I completely blanked on the word. And the whole news crew is behind the camera. They're not on screen at all. And they simply say, "What do you think of this?" And he's holding on to the jacket, you know, with the finger, the way we all kind of do over our shoulders. And he's looking down at the ground going, "This isn't America. This isn't who we are. We're better than this." And it was that trip that led him eventually to decide to run for president in '68. But my question is the same. Why did we believe him, but we don't believe you? With all fairness to you, you're not Bobby Kennedy. I understand there's a fame that comes with him. And like I said, the cameras followed him everywhere. But I think you get my point that why are you less believable? The country didn't know about the plight of these people until Bobby Kennedy showed it to them. And when he did, they believed it. So why is there that disbelief with the story that you just told? Do you understand what I'm trying to ask? I might not be asking it in the most eloquent way, but you understand what I'm getting.
I see exactly what you're talking about. It's because of this. America is used to not believing Black people. They're used to it. The idea of the white savior complex comes from, we've said this, it's only when a white guy says it that you start to believe it. America is used to that. I've told that story several times. And that was the second interaction I had with a cop at that age. The first one I was 11, the second one I was 13. America is used to not hearing us. Black people have been saying for decades that police brutality is a problem. Police brutality was behind the Watts riots. Police brutality has been behind several instances of Black folks just not being here anymore. Even the Rodney King beating, which was on videotape.
And a pretty damn long one, by the way.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing is about 13 minutes.
It really.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah.
I mean,
there were Tom Hartman just did this this week. I heard it. I hope I get it right. I'm sure somebody will Google check me along that. There were over 600 police killings by police in the United States in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
A year still with some stay-at-home guidelines in place.
Yes.
Not in the same way as 2020, but still some.
Mm-hmm.
And still over 600 killings by police. In the other OECD countries, OECD being the so-called Western industrialized first world countries, I think the highest, the only one that even comes close, if you want to define it as close, I don't. I want to say, oh God, was oddly enough, I think it was Germany. No, sorry, it was the UK. They had 24.
Yep.
7:01 Eastern time. I haven't reset the program since we started because I guess I can't shut up and do the FCC things I'm supposed to do, even though we're not governed by the FCC. I try to stick to it anyway. It is 7:01 Eastern time. Wherever you might be across the Facebook universe, to the nearly 100 places we have shared the program this week, every single group, every single page, every single individual. Thank you, and thank you again, because we could not be here if you are not there. If you would like to interact with us, ask a question, agree, disagree, stand up and clap, scream, whatever it might be, come on over to our home Facebook page, That Other Side of Information. That is where we will see you. If you have missed any of this program this evening, if you missed either of our two Wednesday special programs, if you have missed any of our programs since the inception of our show, you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/That Other Side of Information. That is our library. That is our repository. All of our programs, all of our on-air content is at our YouTube channel. I strongly request, humbly request, ask, beg, whatever you want to call it, to go there, subscribe. All of these things, all of these wonderful social media tools. And they can be wonderful. They can be extremely problematic, but they can also be very wonderful. We ask you to please give us a like, a follow, a subscribe, a whatever. They're all free. But it does help change all of the algorithms and so on. It helps change all that, and it helps proliferate the program even further. So we thank you. Come on over to our home group Facebook page, that other side of information. Hot101.net, our name is our web address. Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and the Tune In radio app. And you can also tell Alexa to play Hot101.net. And TCP, the Cultured Professional from Lancaster. The morning show returns tomorrow on Facebook and their Roku channel and WTCP Global Internet Radio. We are proud to be all part of all those families, because I can tell you, to be quite honest, I'm not stretching it here, the makeup of the on-air and business and you name it staffs at both Hot 101 and TCP look a hell of a lot more like Sergeant Mac than me. And that makes me even more proud to be part of both of these entities. A genuine mix of, slice and mix, and all of us of America representing on both of these places. We will open up the phone line shortly, but we have held the Sergeant has to leave us around 7:30, maybe even a little earlier. So we will get to the big announcement that we have been holding on to. Obviously, the discussion has been exceptionally lively. The chat on Facebook has been blistering. I mean, I'm just watching the comments scroll. So many of them I probably should have read, but they've disappeared. And they're so far back, I probably can't even find them now. It's been a lively, constructive, polite, informative, all the positives that I could possibly think of for the chat. That's exactly what's been going on. Keep it going. If you have questions for myself or Sergeant Mac before he has to leave us, get them in now, and I will try to ask them before he has to go. But let's turn to the big announcement. So here's what's happening at the Kennedy Effect. We will not be with you next week. It's Memorial Day. We generally never do a program on a holiday weekend. So we will not be with you. Somebody's already calling me. Oh, blimey. Hang on, Randall. Hang on. We will never, we usually don't do programs on holiday weekends because most folks are out enjoying their weekends and so on. But we will return on January. Oh my gosh, where'd that come from? We will return on June 5th. Our guest actually on June 5th is going to be Dr. Ruben Brock. He's been with us before. It was a long time ago. He's going to come back and visit us. But something else is going to happen on June 5th. There's going to be a debut of a new program at 9 p.m. directly following us. And a certain young man, I've never heard of him. I think he is profoundly disqualified for this position. But thank God. I can't even keep it going. You're dying over there. I can't even keep it going. On June on June 5th at 9 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Central, because he is in the Central time zone. All over Facebook and on that other side of information, by the way, and on hot101.net, a new program is going to debut. Sergeant, I don't suppose you know anything about this new program, do you?
I actually do.
Do you?
I
Get
do.
out.
Yes, I do.
Who's the crazy guy they got to host the new program?
It shall be me. I will be hosting a show on hot101.net. It will be called The Villain's View. For those of you who have asked, yes, I am that guy. If you've seen any TikTok videos of me, then you already know who I am. My professional name is Thomas Bishop. I go by Thomas the Villain Bishop. And myself and two other members of my little eclectic crew called the Villains Guild we will be doing a 2-hour show every Sunday, 8 p.m. Central, which is 9 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, thank you to Jeff and April and the family at hot101.net. You are looking at the host of the Villains View, and it's going to be nerve-wracking. So I don't have any stage fright, so don't anybody ask.
Not entirely correct.
No.
Stage fright, no, but you've been a little stressed. And guess what? That's normal. That's human. I got bad news for you. You're human.
Oh, please. I'm not that, but I want everybody to know what the show is going to be basically about. Jeff here.
Well, your first program is going to be about how great I am. But after that, what are we doing after that?
But it's going to be more of a kind of a talk show. Think of I don't know. Think of Alex Jones but smarter.
Yeah.
Oh,
so you're gonna sell anti-aging pills?
No, I am
like
not.
That?
No, I am not. You the same hard
My pillows?
No. the same hard-hitting social commentary that I am known for on TikTok is this thing that I will be bringing to my show. I will have subjects, I will have guests, I will do interviews. But yeah, that was the big announcement. You will see a banner.
Hang in there, Randall. We can hear you breathing. Hold it. Yeah. Hang on, brother.
You'll see a banner here pretty soon. Hold on just a second. Do
you need the ability to share your screen there, sir?
No, I'm just gonna stop the video for just a second, mute, because I gotta talk to my stepson. Okay. Give me just a sec.
Randall, go ahead. Randall, go ahead. No, he just said to step away quickly. It happens when you're here for a few hours. Sometimes things happen. Go ahead. Same way. My work got me dead in the middle of the show. His son is.
I'm back.
Go ahead, Randall. Go ahead. Ask you. This would be quick. Quickly throw your question in there, Randall. Go ahead, please. Quick.
Can't even hear him.
Randall, hang on. I might lose you. They can't hear you again. I don't know what's wrong with the voice, with the software. The Facebook group can't hear you. There's a software issue. I know you're going to get ticked, and I apologize. You got to be super quick. Nobody can hear anything right now. You got to be very, very fast.
Dead air. I hear nothing. Jeff, I can't hear anything. Seriously, I cannot hear anything.
You can't hear me either?
Nope.
Okay.
Awkward.
Randall. 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 No one can hear you. I have to let you go. In fact, the software quit in the middle of you speaking. You dropped out in the middle of you speaking. So the software is completely not working. I need to let you go, and I apologize. I did. I will pass it on. Thank you, sir. And I apologize to you.
Sorry, Randall.
I tested all of that before we started.
See,
and it was fine. I tested it midstream. I actually tested it midstream again because we had this problem last week. And
this is
this is what welcome to the show business. You're gonna get to deal with this. You're gonna get to deal with this in 2 weeks.
Yeah. My co-host will be Jeffrey Fernandez and Victoria. I'm not gonna give out Victoria's last name because she doesn't want me to. So yeah, it's just gonna be it's gonna be 2 hours. It'll liven your day, give you some hope, things of that nature. But that's what the outlook is for 2 weeks from now. The Villain's View with Thomas Bishop and Jeffrey Fernandez. Please tune in. Please, do all the button things, please. Because I would say
still to do that yet. Tell me. Let's talk about the program really quick. I do have a question in the chat that I want to ask you before you go. But let me ask you about the Kathleen was nice enough to put a really intense question in there, and I do want to ask you it before you go.
Please.
But let me ask you about the program quick.
Okay.
What does it mean to you to have this? Not just, and I don't mean that from like an ego point of view, but just an outlet that folks have, because I'll tell you what, the folks that own and run Hot 101 look like you, and they don't look like me, and they still gave me a chance.
Yeah.
And I'm continually and constantly honored by it.
Okay.
It's a platform. You can't, you don't want to be the tree in the forest.
No.
The proverbial tree in the forest, right?
Right.
So you've always had something to say. And it's not just stuff to say for the sake of saying it. It's something that needs to be heard. Yes, you've got the 300,000 folks on TikTok, and you certainly can't dismiss any of that. But a full-length radio show is a different animal.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling? How do you feel about the opportunity to have longer, prolonged, ongoing week-to-week discussions with folks?
When April first asked me,
and April is here. I think she's having signal issues. Yeah. That's why we're not hearing too much from her, but she's here.
When April first asked me, and I accepted, I got off the phone. First person I told was my wife. Second person I told was my older sister. And after that, I started crying. Not gonna lie, 50 years old, I have nothing else to hide. Because all of this is my second act. For 20-something years of my life, I was the military. I was a soldier. Even when I was in the Navy, I was a soldier on a boat. I was a soldier, and I thought that was all I was ever going to do. I retired, and I had to try to find something else to do. It just so happens that the timing and social media, the TikTok thing kind of blew up. From that, I got invited on your show. I got invited on several podcasts. I started my own podcast. When April asked me this, I couldn't do anything but be humbled, because I've always been passionate about things. I've been passionate about people. I've been passionate about helping people be better. I've been passionate about seeing people live the best lives they possibly can. I know we live in a time where too many of us are very cynical, myself included, and we just basically don't believe. So to know that I get a chance every week to try to help educate, try to elevate, try to make people laugh, try to start a conversation, try to confront things. It's a humbling experience. It even with a podcast, with a podcast, it's different. But this is radio. This is every single week being able to tell people, give them a little bit more information to help them fight the next 6 days until you see and hear from me again. It's a heavy responsibility, and it's a humbling responsibility, and I do not take it lightly. I don't have the ego boost to say, well, I've deserved it. I didn't deserve any of this. You're talking to an old broken down soldier who has a foul mouth, earrings, black fingernails, a coffee addiction, a cat that won't leave me alone, a wife that loves me, and a dog that's an angry person. So for somebody to say the things that you say are needed enough to where we want you to be on our radio station, that's a humbling thing to me, and
Kathleen says in the chat, the revolution will be live.
and I will tell you honestly, to be brutal, and I mean this, I vow to never put a show out that in some way, shape, form, or fashion makes the world better. Even if I don't do anything for 2 hours but make jokes. Even if I say, okay, it's been a heavy week, it's comedy. I want to give people something that helps them just get through that week. And
I think it's going to mix together too.
Oh, it absolutely is.
In the same way that you and I were talking about how we look at these events, and that I don't have your experiences.
Okay.
I think that's the shows aren't going to be the same either.
No.
So for those of you at home that think to yourselves, well, it's going to be a damn long night of listening.
A little opposite.
Yeah, we are opposite, April. It is going to be opposites. And, can we handle 4 hours of me and then an hour, 2 hours of Sarge? I think you're going to a lot more easily than you think, because they're going to be different things. And I think that's the strength, is that they're going to be different things. You have a lifetime of experiences that I do not have and that I cannot identify with.
Yeah, and
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's to me, it's the chance to, whereas you will always be the popular, you'll be the progressive populace of hot101.net. That's your title. I want you to have it. I'd get you a crown, but I know you don't wear those things. I
don't on the air. What I do in private is
hey man, what you do in your house is your business, dog. I got nothing for you. But you own that title of the progressive populist of hot101.net. There's no way in hell I'd ever try to do your show. I wouldn't. I would much rather be, if I have to be anything, I don't have a problem being the bad cousin or the bad uncle or the bad brother. Here's Jeff, and he's going to give you a little bit of hope, and we're going to talk about economics and keep that populism going. And here comes the villain right behind him. Everything sucks. I don't care anymore. Let me tell you why. I don't mind being that, because at the end of it, I still want to be able to tell people, you are loved, you are light, you are needed. If nobody tells you I love you, they love you this week, I love you. If nobody tells you you're needed this week, I need you. I want to do it in such a way to where it's different than TikToks, which are 3 minutes of me ranting. I want it to be different than my podcast, which is just stream of consciousness with music. I want to be able to have guests on that live a different life than I do. Something that says, hey, I'm a Black guy from Missouri. Here is my transgendered friend. We're going to talk about not her being transgender, but we're just going to talk about life as a gay person or your favorite fishing holes and stuff like that. I want people to leave, if they leave informed with you, I want them to leave loved after me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to listen to DJ for the rest of the night. That's what that's what I hope I do. And before any of this jumps off, and I'm going to do this without crying. I want to thank you.
But with the stuff he knows.
I know I got to get this crud out. I want to thank you. I want to thank April, and I want to thank everyone at hot101.net for even thinking that I belong here. From the bottom of my heart, I genuinely thank you. This is big. This is like this is something I never thought would ever happen. I when you guys were like, how long you want your show to be? I'm like, I can pick a length. Why? I will always be eternally grateful to both you and April for as long as I have a show. I will be grateful to both of you. That I can promise you. I don't know what else to say. I don't.
Kathleen says in the chat, Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I want to ask you her question before you go. I know you're leaving at 7:30. 6 minutes. Sir.
Yes.
And it is not a small question. So,
okay.
But because she was kind enough to put it in, I tell everybody, if you put a question in, I'm going to make every effort in the world to ask it. So I'm going to do this.
Okay.
Again, this is Kathleen. What are the most effective methods of allyship to combat the issues facing Black Americans? A lot of people who think they are allies act unilaterally without even consulting the communities they are trying to, quote unquote, protect. What are the best ways to actually be an ally and mitigate the damage done?
Easy. This will be the easiest question I answer. Number one, Black, brown, and indigenous communities do not want allies. We want accomplices. That's the first thing. So you start with
that's
that.
That's a completely different take. And that's why it's important, because it's a completely different take.
Yes. So you start with that premise. Very first thing you do is listen. Too many people who want to consider themselves accomplices will center themselves within a conversation. You have to turn your ego off. When you are hearing about Black, brown, and indigenous issues, from the over-policing in our neighborhoods, or missing and murdered indigenous women, take your ego out of it, completely out of it, shut it off, leave it alone, and simply listen. Second, challenge racism wherever it is. It's not enough to wear a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. It's not enough to put up a sign. It's not enough to go to a rally. When your mother and father say something that even remotely looks racist, stand up to them. Stand up to them. Challenge that thinking. When you hear this percentage of Black folks are on welfare, you should know better than that. Even if you have to sit there and Google while they're talking, actually the percentage is this. Be very cognizant of the fact that you will not be thanked for your work, because you are not doing this for us. You are doing this to make everybody fair and equal. So if you're
it's for the community. It's the greater it's the greater us. It's literally the society.
Yes. If you were looking for pats on the back, or hey, I did this much for Black people, you are going to find yourself ostracized, because Black folks don't have the time for it. Brown folks ain't got the time for it. Indigenous people ain't got the time for it. Put in the work So when the society we're trying to build is actually there, where we have fair equality across the board, where societal issues are bettered in Black, brown, and indigenous communities, even though you don't live in those communities, then you will get your pat on the back. But the work does not change. It never ends. And finally, and this is the part that I think a lot of white folks are, this is the part where their fear comes in. Recognize your own racism and change it. Recognize your own biases and change them. So you know you have this certain thought process about Black people. You have never had a challenge because you never talked to any Black people. You need to rectify that. Whatever you have to do. If you know a stereotype about Black people, you should know a factual thought about them as well. You do that, you become an accomplice, because you realize the work has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not you are here to reap the rewards. Your kids might be here, hanging out with little Black kids, little brown kids, little Native kids, little Asian kids, little Jewish kids, and that's fine. You might not get the reward that you're looking for. If you're doing it simply for that reward, then you're wrong. Black folks don't need any more allies. We don't. We've had enough. We need accomplices. We need people. There's a difference between people going, hey, I heard somebody hurt you at work. I come over to offer prayer. And another person that says, hey, I heard somebody hurt you at work. The car's gassed up. Come on, let's go. We're going to handle it. Be more of an accomplice, less of an ally. That's how you handle that. That's how you make and shape a society that you truly want your children to live in, by making yourself an accomplice, less and not an ally. I'm telling you that's about the only way I can describe it.
I know you need to go.
Yes, I do.
I thank you.
I thank you.
I know that I will be talking to you over the next 2 weeks.
Yes, you will. Because I'm going to be really nervous.
Because if you're going to be taking, I don't know how you've decided that you're going to be taking calls in your program, but if it's this damn program, I better figure out why it went south.
Yeah.
So I got that to do over the next 2 weeks. I got to figure out why this program went south on me and why no one can hear it anymore. But I will have to work on that. But or I'm going to have to find something else, or we're going to have to do the good old call me on my cell and I'll hold it up to the microphone, which is so technically, it sounds so good. It sounds so great.
Yeah, that's going to work out real well.
Yeah, so we'll have to work on that. But the bottom line is that Sergeant Mac premieres on hot101.net and across the Facebook universe 2 weeks from tonight. Only 90 minutes shy of exactly 2 weeks from tonight. No pressure. Or the 100,000 folks listening, over 100,000 listening on hot101.net worldwide. No pressure.
He's doing that on purpose, ladies
You
and
got
gentlemen.
300,000 TikToks.
He's doing that on purpose.
300,000 TikTok followers. Why does 100,000 people around the globe bother you? Oh my goodness. God, you know how many TikTok followers I have?
How many?
40 something.
And that's fine. Because
I mean, it's you have 300,000. My goodness gracious.
Yeah, while Jeff is sitting here saying all of this, for all the people who follow me on TikTok, I am scheduling a time for the Villains interview, and Jeff Kennedy will be my very first Villains interview. We're going to sit down, we're going to go live, I'm going to take questions, and I want all of the people to follow me to ask Mr. Kennedy anything. I'm going to be a constant caller and commenter on your program. Oh, God. And I'm going to call with some type of South Bronx accent and just I don't know what your problem is, man. I don't know. Come on. I fell across your program. And I don't watch it a lot, but I know everything that you've been saying for the last 6 weeks. I don't believe you or nothing you're saying. And I don't like you and I don't like your program.
but I know everything that you've been saying, and let me disagree with all of it.
You know what? And on that note, Mr. Kennedy, I'm going to go enjoy time with my sister. Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. Seriously.
Listen, I desperately hope this doesn't sound condescending. I'm so proud of you. You deserve this. You're an important voice. Not every important voice has to be some captain of industry, some billionaire, or some elected official. Sometimes the most important voices come right from our own neighborhoods and our neighbors and on the street, if you will. It's Joe and Jane American, and at this point it's Thomas American. It's just, if not every voice that this country needs to listen to or can learn from has to be a Harvard professor or a theoretical physicist or a president or a senator or a House member or a judge or a billionaire. Or we're pretty damn smart as an electorate, as a citizenry, as residents of this country. And you know, Kristen and I ran for positions inside the Democratic Party. Because if you really want to fix something, you do it from the inside. You don't burn it down.
Yeah.
You fix it from the inside. And you don't criticize a thing because you hate it. You criticize it because you love it.
Yeah.
Because you want it to be better. I don't criticize the Democratic Party. I don't criticize this country. I don't criticize fill in the blank because I hate a thing. I criticize it because we can be better. Remember the words. It's to form a more perfect union, which presupposes the fact that it was never perfect in the first place. So you're an important voice. And the saddest part of this entire journey that you have been on since your very first appearance on our program here, the worst thing that ever happened to you is that I became your friend. And you have to suffer through that now. And this will tag you and follow you for the rest of your days, that you know me. And it's a heavy price to pay for your fame.
I bear it proudly. I bear it proudly. But you are my friend. You are absolutely my friend. So.
One of these days we will actually meet in person and break bread.
Yeah, and I hope it's
that will be
after
a
I get this
wonderful
crud out of my face.
Yeah, that's two of us. I'm all stuffed up too.
All right.
Please have a great rest of your night. I'm so proud of you. I'm thrilled for you. We will be listening, ladies and gentlemen, 2 weeks from tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Sergeant Mac debuts with his own program. I could not be happier. That is a truly good and decent human being down to his core. And even though he is in the St. Louis area, I quite literally have no doubt if Kristen and I were in really big trouble, he'd hop in car, plane, train, boat, flap his arms, whatever he would have to do to get here. And he'd be one of the very first people by my side. He's a good and decent man. He has a lot to say. He's a powerful voice. He has lived experiences I will never understand. And it is from that point of view that he will talk, not just to you, but with you. I don't know if April can even hear me. She did log into the program about a half hour ago, but I also know she was driving, so she might be having signal problems in and out. April is here. You may not be seeing her on the screen, but she is here. I would gladly tell you to call me, but it appears that my phone software is not working. The only way that anyone would be able to call and talk to me on the air is if you rang my cell phone and I held it up to the microphone, which doesn't really sound very good, but it would work. And it's really a crime that my software has taken a powder on me, because we've basically got about 20 minutes to 8 o'clock. I would love to take your phone calls. I would love to take your interactions. Continue to please chat in the on the Facebook on the Facebook machine. The old guy said. Does that sound like the Google machine? It's funny when I hear the Google machine. I use that one a lot. I don't know if the Facebook machine comes off the same way. You can ask me questions, argue with me, disagree with me, cheer, whatever it might be. Please, you can continue to put questions in the Facebook chat. If you are someone who knows me personally and has my cell phone number, you can ring it and I will hold the phone up to the mic. I don't know how good it'll sound, but at least we can talk to each other. It appears to me that my phone software has just quit. And I gotta be blunt. You may have heard that noise and heard that noise. Those are sounds like phones ringing. That's usually how I test it. And if I hear them, then I know that you're hearing them. And above all that, if I test them, they are coming through on my board, my soundboard, which shows me that they're going out in the air. But apparently it's not working and you're not hearing it. So I'm not sure what's happening with that. So I can't trust the phone software. But if anybody wants to ring me on my, personal mobile, you're welcome to do so. 20 minutes left in the program. April is in the room, but I don't think she has enough signal to join us. And let me tell you what's happening with us for the next few weeks while I have your undivided attention. Let me tell you what's happening with us, with our program. We will not be with you next week. We will not be with you next week. It is Memorial Day weekend. Please enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. I don't think we've ever done a program on a holiday weekend. And we will not be now. So enjoy your Memorial Day. Please remember what Memorial Day is for. It is not just for burgers and hot dogs and picnics and grilling, and it's part of that. It's part of that. It is the unofficial beginning of summer, and that's cool. But let's remember what it's for as well. We will not be here next week. We will return to you on June 5th, Sunday, June 5th at 5 p.m. Eastern. Our guest will be Dr. Ruben Brock. If you don't know Dr. Brock, he was on our program. He's been on our program. He was on our program actually pretty early on. I think in our first year. I would have to scroll back a really long time to find out when he was on, but he was on. He is a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist. He has a very unique family story. He's a man of color. He is exceptionally well educated, well beyond anything I could ever dream of. He has run for office. He's active in the Democratic Party. He has a very broad family, which means he has college-age kids and a toddler. And he's done a lot of work on YouTube talking about parenting. And we plan to talk to him next week about the general body trauma, if you will. What kind of trauma are women feeling as one of the three branches of government take away their own autonomy? What are folks thinking coming out of a pandemic, the collective body trauma that has come out of that? What has come out of, what are school kids thinking? What is he seeing in his practices? And he also teaches actually as well. I think he teaches at the University of Pittsburgh. I'm not sure of that. but yeah, it's what do there's all of that. There's all of that. There's a lot that we could talk to him about, and I look forward to the opportunity to do so. The following week, 5 plus 7 is 12, would be June 12th. Nick Presley is scheduled to be our guest. He is with the PA Budget Policy Center. He is going to be talking to us about the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's budget, about what the governor has proposed, what Republicans have proposed, what the Koch Network Commonwealth Foundation has proposed, because it's kind of almost like we have multiple branches of government here in PA. The Commonwealth Foundation happens to be one of them. So we will be talking about budgets and the concept of budgets, in that it's one of the most brilliant things that Nancy Pelosi ever talked about. Joe Biden has talked about how his father used to tell him the same thing, that if you show me your budget and I will show you a list of your priorities. And I think that's true. It's true globally, it's true nationally, and it's true inside Pennsylvania. So we will be talking about that on June 12th. 12 plus 7 is 19. Father's Day. We will not be with you for Father's Day. The year has been very, very strange, very odd in the weeks on and off. We've had so many weeks off. Some of them have been my fault. I've been ill. I've had to work. I've traveled. But the way the holidays and Super Bowl and the way some of these things have kind of fallen in place, you would think the Oscars would be a night that we took off. We didn't. We were here. I think we signed off before the actual show part started, but you get my point. So it's been a very choppy 2022. But our listenership has continued to grow. Facebook doesn't always reflect it, but the radio listenership has continued to grow, and we are exceptionally grateful for that. And we are grateful to our family, both of our families at Hop 101 and TCP, because reaction, the growth of audience has come from both places. And we're exceptionally grateful for that. Again, I know I'm beating the metaphor into the ground, but we don't want to be the proverbial tree in the forest. If it falls, do you hear it? We can't do any of this without you. If no one was watching or listening, it would just be me having a conversation with friends. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't make for very good radio and video. You need somebody to listen. So we need it. And we're very grateful. And sincerely, I say this all the time, but every single one of you that has taken time to ever watch us live or recorded, that has commented on a program, Randall has been a champion for this, an absolute champion. It's why I feel so crummy that the phone quit on him, because I hate it. That makes me feel awful. But he's been a champion for this, sharing the program, inviting friends into the group. We ask you to continue to do that. If you want to take this program and share it, then please do so. To everyone that you think is appropriate. I'm not saying start a fight with crazy Uncle Larry at the Thanksgiving table, but you understand. We need it. So that is our next month. Yeah, month. Yeah, I got that right. What else is going on? I feel like there was something I was going to say. Blanked. What a surprise. I blanked. Oh, and let me say this too. and I really mean it, to Randall and to all of you, I apologize very, very much for the phone misuse. Again, when I come up here very, very early. And I said, like, sometimes an entire hour, which might not seem like a lot, but it doesn't take too long to boot up the computer and plug it in Ethernet cable, things like that. And I test all of these programs and I make sure everything's working. And when I tested the voice program, it was working. I mean, again, those noises that I made for you, kind of entertaining. I don't even know if you can hear them. I can hear them in my headset. It's the sound of, like, when you're holding the phone and it's dialing out. That's what's happening. If those both work, and I can see on the Google Voice that my voice is going and the microphone is working, that generally means I'm good to go. And for whatever reason, it quit on us again. The interesting thing is that it quit mid phone call, which is even weirder. So I'm really going to have to, George and I are going to have to suss that out. We got 2 weeks to play with it, so we're going to have to play with it. If you enjoy my program at all, I have every trust and every sense and every feeling that you are going to love Sergeant Mack. He really is an important voice. And I meant what I said. Not every important voice has to be this high elected official or even a member of the clergy or a rich person. We all have so much to bring to the table. We all have experiences. We all have stories. And Sergeant Mack's got a lot of them. And they are poignant, and they are poignant and important. They are timely. They are the story of an 11-year-old Sergeant Mack getting beaten by police and have his life threatened. It's early in his life, but is no more less poignant or important or timely than today. And I think that's the important part. It's real life. It's real life. He has life experiences to draw from. And I think you're going to enjoy his program. And I hope, very much encourage you and hope that you will listen to it. We will share his program here on our Facebook page. It will be on Hot 101. But of course, I do not know if he is recording and going to YouTube in the same way that we do. We have encouraged him to do that. But I hope he does, so that if you can't catch it live, that you'll have another way to catch it. If you can't catch it live, you will be able to catch it on our Facebook page. It'll be right in the timeline down the line. We've got about 9 minutes left. George has made it into the room. April, I still see on the screen, but she either cannot hear me or can't sustain a signal. We have missed George for quite a while. I guess you fixed the dryer.
Yes, I have. It's done. And I fixed the air conditioner. So.
Oh, geez, really?
Yeah.
You
Well,
skipped us to fix an air conditioner on a 90-degree day? I mean, that's very selfish.
well, we had to set it up. It was portable.
With the window or the other kind? The proper
The window,
portable?
yeah, the portable one on wheels, and then we had
okay. But
we
then
had a
you
kit
still
for
have
it
to
to put
put
it
the
out the
tube
window.
outside anyway.
I'm sorry?
You still have to stick a tube in the window anyway, don't you?
Yeah, it was a whole kit.
Out.
So it was
Yeah.
it was a whole kit that we had to put into the window, and then
I remember
and then-
buying one of those, thinking this is going to be awesome. All I got to do is plug it in. And then
Yeah.
I saw that big, huge tube and all that crap that came with it. Oh, that's not exactly what I signed up for. I don't think it ever really worked right either. It blew hot air, or not hot air. It was never really cold. It's never really like air conditioned, like cold, proper air.
Well,
but
this
I
one,
thought- I thought
this
they
one
were
is
just
this one's an air conditioner, dehumidifier,
Right. That's why you
combo.
have to have the tube out the window to take the
Yeah,
humidity with it.
yeah.
It's supposed to blow it out the window. I hate to say it, we're supposed to have 2 weeks off, but we're gonna have to do some work.
Yeah, I know. Google Voice is,
Is crapped out. I don't know what the heck happened.
I
We're
think
either
it's
gonna have
going, it's going away. I believe Google Voice is going away. I don't know what they're
As a
gonna put in its
program?
place. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
great. So we're gonna have to find a program, or we're gonna have to do the old hold the phone up to the microphone thing. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, probably.
Fantastic. Well, it's quit working on us. I can tell you that. I mean, it literally quit mid phone call.
I know there
wasn't
was
too
an
good.
update. There's an update for Android and I believe there was an update for, for iOS users. But,
I have not been alerted to it. It goes through Chrome, so usually when there's an update, it tells me that Chrome has to be updated.
right, it would be
But
like a Chrome.
I'm sure this
Chrome
talk, of course,
extension.
is fascinating to the audience, but I'm just saying,
Eh.
I guess we have some work to do in the next couple.
Yeah,
of
we
weeks.
got some work to do.
We're gonna have to either find a new voice program or something. I'm not sure.
Have to, we'll have to put in, like a voice over IP switchboard. Yeah, there you go.
Well, if you were here working from your station,
That's true.
if we had a phone board where calls were stacked up and we could just move straight through the calls, I wouldn't have to worry so much about guests all the time.
I would have to.
That's how a proper talk show works, folks. You get a phone bank and you have stacked up calls. You have numerous calls all at the same time, and then you move through them one by one, the same way just any sports talk or any Stephanie Miller, Tom Hartman, Randy Rhodes.
Which means I'm going to have to
Signorelli,
take
that's
that
how
big
they
board away
all
from
do
you.
it. Has anybody, I will ask Randall to say in the chat, as all the folks that have called our program, not a single person has died from it. I swear to God, not one of you has died from it. You've all survived. Some of you have even thrived.
So I'm going to have to take that big board from you then, the big soundboard, and put it here, and then I will have.
Remember the old days when we had a plan that you were going to come here.
Yeah, I
remember those old days. That was yeah. We still have to finish the curtain.
That's true.
I still have the tubing. I still have the tubing here for that curtain to put the next panel in.
Okay.
Remember the old days when we were going to do all that stuff, and then God sent a little pandemic. Other than that, though, I mean, we were great. Other than that, everything was awesome.
I think it was a sign from God. It was like
for you not to come here. Yeah, right. I know. I can almost agree with that. Yeah, that's just about right. Yeah, it would be fun though. It'd be nice if that would be nice if you could be here and we had the phone calls stacked up like that. That would be brilliant.
No, but I mean, I
take
could
a lot
take the
of
board and
pressure
put
off,
it
that's
here,
for
and then just field calls, so I could be your call center. There you go.
Oh well, but then again, I mean that's true. That board is still sitting here. It's basically collecting dust. We never did get that sucker going either, did we? But the interesting thing though is that when Randall was talking, I could see all of the indicators on the Hotline One software, on Google Voice itself, on the board, the small board, because that's the one that we're still using. All of the indicators I could see hit. I could hear him. So that's a real mystery to me. I have to work on that one. That's a real mystery. That's a. I'm not happy about that, but whatever. What do you got coming up in the next 2 weeks? Are you excited to hear Sergeant Mac get started?
Oh,
you should be proud too. You've done a lot of work with him. Sergeant Mac would not be starting without George. George has helped him tremendously as far as buying the right hardware, getting things hooked up. He's been brilliant. He's been absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
With Sergeant Mac, I'm sure Mac would say it himself. I don't think I'm putting words in his mouth. Couldn't have done it without George. I couldn't do it without George. Very, very easily. I mean, easily could not. I'd probably just be going doing one of these, holding it up, trying to do it without George just trying to do the whole damn thing on the show. But anyway, what do we got coming in the next 2 weeks? Working on Google Voice.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I have to really, well, I have another computer here. I'm going to try to see if I can hook up Google Voice into this computer and see if we can field more than one call. So,
well, that would be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. I have said lots of times to all of you what one thing that, how do I say this? How do I say this? How do we see this? So our 2 Wednesday programs did very, very, very well. Audiences were actually larger than they are during this time across the board on 101, Facebook, all of it. It's a really good time slot. In fact, I would encourage you to please put in the chat if you want us to continue to do Wednesday programs. That said, I have said this to you before, and it's an odd comment, I will grant you. That one of the things that keeps us from doing this program as a full-time job, so to speak, even though this has not worked to me, I love this, is callers. One of the reasons why Tom Hartman is Tom Hartman is because more people call him in a day than he can get to. He might answer 30 calls in a day, but 100 people call. And then if you have those folks stacked up and advertisers see it and on and on and on, and then people are listening and they're engaged, only about 1 to 2% of a talk radio audience ever call. Not just call regularly, but ever call. So if you have, again, Tom Hartman does a 3-hour program, 5 days a week, 15 hours. There's prep time in there and stuff too, which he does a tremendous amount of prep time. I'd be happy to do 3, 4, 5 hours, 5 days a week. But if 1 to 2% of your audience is calling, and you can't get through all the calls within a given showtime, advertisers really know people are listening. So that is what I've always hoped for, what we've always striven for. I may have just made a word. I was going to say strived, but I don't think that's a word either. I may have just created a word, possibly. Somebody will correct me. And we continue to do that. And I think the Wednesday program kind of starts to lend toward that. If we do a program this coming Wednesday, it will be quick. It will probably be an hour, no more than 2. But it will be interesting to see how that goes. But still, it's just I don't know. It is what we strive for, because I'm not embarrassed to say. Really wish I had a tissue right now. I am not embarrassed to say that I absolutely cannot stand my job. I hate it with everything I can talk about. So the chance to do this program every single day, if we had enough advertisers, we could pay ourselves and things like that, I would. I can't tell you how happy that would make me. What is whatever last years I have of this broken old body, it would be lovely. I am supposed to be in another meeting, so I am going to say goodbye to you for now. But I beg all of you that are in the chat now, keep spreading the word about this program. We need callers, we need advertisers. I'll do the damn thing 5 days a week, and I will be damn happy to do it. There is if anything, if you were with us on Wednesday, you know that I spoke about the media here in Pennsylvania. The coverage of the primary election was absolutely dreadful in every way. I thought the best coverage of the night was MSNBC. PCN was unwatchable. They didn't even have numbers scrolling on the screen. They just went to a very lovely young lady in a different studio and she read them off. And most of them did not even match. And they were very, very behind. You could find better numbers online. Our local station here in the Lehigh Valley was just unwatchable. It was like, all I can say is it was unwatchable. They had reporters at some of the campaign parties. It was, the numbers were slow. They didn't update. Again, I could hit refresh over and over again and get better numbers, but watch numbers on screen were sometimes an hour old. And the two anchors looked like they had done no preparation whatsoever. They couldn't pronounce some of the names. They didn't know whoever was directing the thing. They didn't know whether they were going out to a reporter, whether they should talk to each other, whether they were going to commercial, and of nothing. And there are almost no outlets in this Commonwealth, almost no outlets that are live and interactive. Now you can call PCN. I watch PCN evenings when they have legislators on, professors, political science people. You can call in. That's good stuff. Primary coverage left a lot to be desired, and it speaks, I think, to the general media landscape in this country, or well, in this Commonwealth. I probably shouldn't say in the country, but in the Commonwealth. I am not special. I'm not smarter than you. I'm not better than you. But I have been doing this since I was in high school. I don't think the viewership and listenership for this would have grown kind of out of nowhere if just anybody was sitting here. We must be doing something. I just wish in my heart, if on Amazon, you got a wish list, right? My wish list is that this would be what I do full time instead of trying to work in a warehouse with a body that doesn't function anymore. But that's, if you have people that you think might want to advertise on this program, for God's sake, send them my way. We will read their ad. If you have candidates that want to advertise here, if you have just all of it. If you've ever listened to any of the progressive shows that I mentioned, and they're all good in their own way, actually, John Fugelsang's show is exceptionally underrated. It's very highbrow. It's very professorial, but it's excellent on Sirius XM in the evenings. If you listen to Tom Hartman, Michelangelo Signorelli, Randy Rhodes, Stephanie Miller, John Fugelsang, Dino Madala, if you listen to any of these folks and you like it, and you like the simplicity of the format, a guest, a lot of calls, maybe another guest, and some calls. That's all we're trying to do here. We have been so blessed, so very, very blessed to have the guests that we have had to sit here straight with no commercials, no breaks for 2 and 3 and sometimes 4 hours. It's extraordinary. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Get a scratchy throat. That's my body's telling me to shut up, get off of here. But we just want to do. We kind of want to do what everybody else is doing, but we want to still be ourselves. So that's what we're after. George, do you have anything you would like to add before we say goodbye to the folks for 2 weeks? And I cough again.
Oh, no. No, actually, I don't. Sorry. Just investigating some open source software for taking calls. That's all. Sorry.
Well, George and I will be working for the next 2 weeks to try to find a new way to take phone calls, or a better way to take phone calls, or whatever, we'll find something. We will find something. With all that said, I know April has been trying to get on, but she's been driving. I think she can't really keep a signal. I think that's probably the main problem. I need to go to a different meeting. I need to go over to Our Revolution, Pennsylvania, and I will see some of you who are in the chat. I will see you there. For DJ Lex and DJ Earl at hot101.net, for the entire TCP family, Whitney, Marquise, Andrew, Taekwon, for all of you, and for everyone here with our program, for April Riddick, for George Dare, for Lynn Dare, for Franz, and of course, for my much, much, much better half. One of these days, she's going to wise up and run away from me like I'm on fire. But for right now, I'm a damn lucky guy. For Kristen, who I think is already in that other meeting that we're supposed to be in. That's it for us for this week. Please don't forget, Sergeant Mac starts in 2 weeks, right after us. He starts in 2 weeks. You want to be there. It will be on our page. So please tune into that. So I think that's it for us. We've done all the damage we can do. Thanks so much for, well, I said for everybody already. I did all that, didn't I? He's getting repetitive. That means he must be getting tired. Time to sign off. We really love you guys. We couldn't do this program without you. We could not do without you. Keep sharing. Keep asking people to come to the group, and let's make this program a full-time gig, okay? Until next time, please take care. Enjoy your Memorial Day holiday. Remember what Memorial Day is for. Please take care of yourselves and each other. I'm Jeff Kennedy. Good night.